All right, going live. It's always that awkward moment where you're kind of waiting for the stream to start. You're not entirely sure if it has started, and then it takes a hot minute for everyone online to actually catch up. So this is a quick ad hoc, well, it may not be quick, I have no idea. Ask me anything, almost anything stream. My name is Jami Higginbotham. I am the founder and creator of Tomorrow. I'm also a principal engineer at a major aerospace company, and that is where the almost part comes in. I am not a spokesperson for that aerospace company. I can't speak on behalf of them, and as such, I can't really talk about anything that that company is doing in any way. So unfortunately, I have to skirt around a lot of those questions. Possibly not all of them, like things that are public, I can potentially sort of kind of talk about maybe, but it gets really iffy. But anything else, like in this last week's Space News, I had talked about wanting to do and update a standalone video with like why I think 2020 and really this upcoming decade is going to be amazing for human spaceflight. Unfortunately, that day job is something intensely fierce right now. Like there's a lot going on. And so I didn't have a chance to make that happen. And so maybe we can kind of cover some of that here. Now, if you're familiar with a lot of the content on Tomorrow, if you're a brand new subscriber, first off, welcome. This is not like our normal content. This will just be me kind of like interacting with you guys in real time. Maybe we'll talk about space, maybe we won't. It's kind of fun to do live. I'm making this one public. Like, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. You're also gonna get this weird awkward moment where I'm about to walk off because I can see that I'm overdriving my audio and I can hear myself delayed on the Mac Pro. So give me just 1 second. And I don't have a way to edit this out either. So this makes like, this is how you know it's real. Hang on, and you'll hear it. Mute, cool, and then rock over here because I can't stand the audio levels being too high. Boom, cool. This is what happens when you try to do this solo. As it says on the screen, you won't know until you ask. Feel free to ask any questions you want. So I may not be able to answer questions about Company X or anything else, but you know, just because I can't answer doesn't mean that you can't ask. And then I can always say, I can't answer. There's a lot going on in my personal life. Well, there's a lot going on in my personal life. Dan realized that I'm transitioning to female before the show started. That is true. That's happening. I'm going on my 9-month, this will be my 9 months of hormone replacement therapy. It's also why I lost, I can't do this in metric off the top of my head, I apologize, but around 55 pounds or so I've lost since I started. So just under a year, I've lost 55 pounds. I'm much healthier. I'm eating right. I'm working out every day, almost every day, doing intermittent fasting and losing weight in a healthy way. So there was a lot of that, like that was sugar weight, and that fell off really quickly. And actually, a lot of people reached out because I moved off camera when I began transitioning because I didn't want the show to become about me and my transition. And like there gets to be this weird political thing, and that's not what any of this is about. This is just about me. And so I thought it was a smart move. In retrospect, maybe not, but I thought it was a smart move for me to jump off camera and simply produce behind the scenes so you wouldn't see me on the air, so that the conversation wouldn't turn to transition. And then I was forced to jump back on camera for a Space News episode. And there was, you know, I had been losing weight for like 4 or 5 months at that point. And people emailed me and said, are you okay? Is everything okay? Are you healthy? Because I didn't tell anyone. Like it was personal to me at that time. And so, well, I mean, I told people, but it was like, you know, family and immediate friends, but I hadn't told the community of Tomorrow yet. And that actually, the fact that you cared enough to reach out to me in private and say, hey, are you okay? We care about you, does mean a lot to me, and I do appreciate it. I did explain to those people like what was going on. And since then, I have come out on the show like, yes, I'm transitioning from male to female. I try not to make it awkward, but it's just awkward. Straight up, it is. If you guys want to talk about it tonight, like this is kind of up to you. This is kind of an AMA. Destructor 1701 asks, what is Station 204's orbital velocity? We'll say it's 22,000 kilometers per hour. Although I don't actually know the size or mass of planet Calf, so we should potentially like well, I suppose the TV is covering up the planet. You can see a little bit of the planet in the background here, Planet Calf. For those who don't know, we call it Planet Calf because the very, very, very first director of Tomorrow, at the time it was called Space Vidcast, his screen name was Caffeinated, C-A-F-N-8-E-D. And he ran a coffee shop in Crow River Coffee. And we ran the show out of the back of this coffee shop, just using gear that I was able to hobble together. I worked in broadcast television, so I was able to, like, I had some gear that was just like eons old. We hobbled together some gear. We worked with Steve, who built Cam Twist, and we custom designed some software, and we just made this space show. This is like nearly 13 years ago at this point. We started doing this. Unfortunately, a couple years ago, Calf passed away peacefully in his sleep, very unexpectedly. And that hit us a little bit hard over here. I think that's the first person we've lost on cast or crew on Tomorrow in Space Vidcast. So in honor of Caffeinated, we named the planet behind me after him. And we haven't gotten around to it yet, but we're going to build a constellation of stars in the molecule shape of a caffeine element. I thought that'd be kind of cute. So there you go. And then also afternoon, morning. It depends on your time zone. For those of you in the U.S., in the Eastern time zone, I am so sorry. For those of you around the world, I'll talk to shows for a moment. We used to do, our shtick was live shows, and it has been that for, we'll call it 12 years. I found, I tried and I tried and I tried for 12 years to make a compelling live show that made sense. And we got close, but we couldn't quite get there. And I think we actually started veering into a territory where the shows were getting worse, not better. And so I think they needed some change. And then there's a period of time where I'm like, I'm going to fix these shows. And every show I would try something radically new. And, people don't like change. And so the community got pretty pissed off at me. I understand. I get it. So that didn't work. So now I've been trying to figure out how to fix this literally for 4 years now. And I think what I've realized is the first big step was space news needed to be removed from the live show. News doesn't need to be live. There's no reason for that. It's not interactive. This doesn't occur. And we need to be able to script it. And we need to be able to correct our mistakes in the edit, because we make a lot of mistakes as humans, especially when you're trying to do a live show. So we did that. We broke it apart, and that was, from a viewership standpoint and from a subscriber standpoint, best thing this show's ever done. We started to see real success once we did that. It makes news easy to consume. You get it every week. That is staying as is. So don't worry about news. News is staying as is. And because I'm not really hiding who I am anymore, and I'm just like, look, this is who I am, awkward or not, deal with it. You will see me on news more often. In fact, you're going to see Jared and I kind of doing news. I'll be on this next news episode hosting. We're also bringing on at least one new person, possibly more, to do kind of a weekly SpaceX update, because SpaceX is doing so much stuff, and I can't talk to SpaceX at all. So we want to bring someone on that can just kind of give us what's going on at SpaceX, what are all the new projects, and that gets tricky because again, I can't help them at all. They just have to submit it to me, and I have to drop it into the show and be like, well, that's what it is. So there you go. And actually, Destructor1701 says, we had lots of ad hoc conversations around news. As much as I love the standalone space news program, I do miss the organic news discussions. Exactly. You are not wrong. I think moving to a pure interview format was also the wrong call. So what I think we're going to do here, at least what we're going to, people seem, when I was polling Twitter and when I was really taking a good hard look at all of the stuff we were doing, it really seemed like people preferred the old Space Vidcast shows before we were Tomorrow. And I think we're going to try to bring that back. So once a month instead of once a week, once a month, Carrie Ann and I will both be on this set, and we are going to have a conversation with you for, we'll call it an hour. I'm not entirely sure how long. It'll be an organic conversation. We'll talk about news. Maybe we'll bring in an interview. Maybe we won't. But it's going to be a much more like an old school Space Vidcast show. And I think we actually have a pretty decent chemistry on air. She's not afraid to tell me to shut up. She's not afraid to tell me when I'm wrong. And I think people enjoy seeing me taken down a notch sometimes. I don't enjoy it, but I know the rest of the world enjoys it. So I think you can start to see some of that. Yeah, like AMGA, Space Vidcast is coming back. Yeah, I think, look, I've been doing a lot of as you can imagine, I've been doing a lot of reflecting. And it hasn't just been on myself, it's been on the show as well. And so we're going to try, like, I'm not trying to make the show bad. I'm trying to find ways to bring you compelling content and get you excited about space. And we have been failing, just straight up, we've been failing at that with regards to the live shows. By no fault of anyone but me, right? Jared has been doing an amazing job of hosting our live shows. He's been making those interviews extremely interesting. Our guests have been incredible. Lisa, like the amount of work she went into finding the guests and prepping the guests and bringing them on the show was astronomical. It was incredible, the team that we had got going. But at the end of the day, all of this great work aside, it wasn't compelling content. It just wasn't. And I think this human moment, this is what we need when it comes to live shows. This is what's important. It's going to be a lot of this. It's going to be just like, this is tricky because like I have to watch you and the screen and this. And so like one person isn't enough to make this go. But I think with two, maybe three sometimes, bringing in some extra voices, just having casual conversations, I think we're going to move them to Friday nights. And there's a very real chance that we'll be drinking alcohol during the show. Just, you know, I've always wanted the live shows to be a bunch of friends hanging out over a drink and just geeking out over space. So you know what we're going to make it? A bunch of friends drinking something and hanging out and geeking out over space. That's what I've always wanted. So, yeah. And then I think we do have pretty good chemistry on camera. A question from Destructor 1701. If my SpaceX correspondent gets something completely wrong on the point of misrepresenting or poorly portraying the company in a literal or large way, do you maintain? Yeah, this is tricky. So do I remain impartial or do I correct them? I have to remain impartial. I cannot correct them, and this has happened in the past. This will not be the first time we've brought on a SpaceX correspondent. We actually had a SpaceX correspondent for a while. Unfortunately, there was a chunk of data that would go out the door that would be wrong. And at that time, we were doing news live, and so I would be standing in the newsroom, and like this information would cross the screen. I would know that this information is absolutely incorrect. And not only can I not say anything, at that time, I also couldn't make any faces or like any form of nonverbal communication because that is a form of communication, right? And so it was exceedingly difficult at times for me to just stand there and not have a look of like, what did you just say? On my face. There was one time where actually the reverse happened where, and this was a terrifying moment, where he got something very, very right. And it was an unexpected, it was non-public data that I don't give him this data. There's a firewall between me and the SpaceX correspondent. They get literally nothing from us. And so he got this right. And like, there's this look of like, you could almost see it in my eyes, this look of panic of like, oh, I never expected us to like this is a new thing. Like, uh-oh. It looks like I gave information, which I didn't. So that was terrifying, and that might happen again. But like we have mechanisms in place to prove that like we haven't done anything. Anyhow, there you go. Jami says, I miss the old live shows. You know, we do too. And I kind of miss just hanging out with you guys, which is why we're doing this AMA. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And it's, you know, to the public. And by the way, if you like these, I think I'm going to do a lot more of these on our YouTube membership sites and our Patreon streams, but like, I want to know what you want. There's kind of a critical mass of people where you get more people talking and it just works better. Yeah. Christopher says, hello, Tamitha, love the little Mars segments you do. Well, I'm not Tamitha, although I'm flattered that you think I know I am transitioning, but I know that I don't pass yet, so I'm flattered, thank you, that you think that I'm Tamitha. But space weather won't be going away. So there were some polls and people were getting a little bit worried that because space weather was polling poorly in regards to other things. But you have to look at it like you're forced to pick one of the four things, and just because space weather got picked as like the least favorite thing doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that of the 4 things that were chosen, that was people's least favorite, but it doesn't mean they don't like it. So space weather's not going anywhere. I actually think it's a very valuable segment. I think it's something that's moderately unique to us. Obviously, you can get space weather in a couple different channels, but I think the way it's presented in context with other space news is something that you can only get on Tomorrow, and I like it a great deal. I think Tamitha does a fantastic job of it. Her knowledge of the sun and space weather is unsurpassed, and so yeah, that's not going anywhere, just so you know. What I might do is she usually does like 3 segments. I might have it smallinated down to like 1 segment per week, so those 3 segments, like that Mars report is its own thing, but we'll see. Like it depends on what the sun is doing. There we go. Let's see here. Colton said Lisa did an amazing job setting up guests. Some hiccups, but with a few. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's going to happen. Oh, Tamitha's in the Tamitha's in the room. That's why. So that's me being egotistical. But well, there you go. So Tamitha's in the room. Jami said 2017 was a great format for your live shows. That was the 3-format show. It wasn't, though. So, like, you may have enjoyed it, but we saw 0 growth. In fact, we were seeing negative growth in many months where we were declining in viewership, not growing, and declining in subscribers and not growing. And that's because it was broken into 3 segments that didn't really go together, that didn't really fit quite right. And so we're still not going to go back to that. But we are going to go back to a very conversational format for our live shows. So, and that conversational format can and most likely will include news things as well, so we can kind of get a debate going, like a good detailed debate. Which, sorry, I know that you guys have a lot of really great comments, and I'm going off on tangents, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to. On a personal note, transitioning to female, so I follow some transgender communities and some transgender personalities online, and I came to a realization a couple nights ago. I was watching a live ContraPoints, I guess it was a night ago, live ContraPoints video, and I started to realize, for some reason, there's a lot of infighting inside of the transgender community. It's just like, we, for some reason, are very cruel to each other. I don't know where that comes from. But I saw this happen. I try not to be like that, right? I mean, like like I'm going through this. I know how amazing and awful it is at the same time. There's a whole lot that's going on in your head. Like, I would never want to put anyone in a position where I'm judging them because I don't know what they're going through. And I was so surprised by the amount of judgment in the community on other people who are going through the same thing. I was like, who would ever do that? And then again, in a moment of self-reflection, I realized, in my own show, I do that, but I do that with space, right? So we should be a tight-knit community. We should be cheering everyone on. We should be cheering on SLS. Yeah, we can be a little bit critical of them, but at the end of the day, like, we should be supportive of anyone trying to put humans into space, including the Space Launch System. And I am very guilty of not being as supportive of these programs as I should be. That is not to say that they are without their flaws. There are flaws in all of them, but there are flaws in all of them. And instead of pointing at those flaws and saying, this sucks because of this is terrible, I think we should be unifying and saying, okay, yeah, there are a few problems here, but this is amazing because of these things. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's the tact I'm going to. That's kind of my 2020 resolution is, I'm not going to be tearing down these programs and looking for the things that are wrong with them. I'm going to be propping them up and looking for the things that are right with them. There you go. Let's see here. We'll have, Jason says, Jami and Carrie Ann will need to learn how to do the secret handshake from Space Vidcast. So I say, I got the next question for a little bit. So this is in regards to, we would have these awkward moments where both Carrie Ann and I would try to take like the next part, and then like neither one of us would want to yield control. So we started to come up with like these under the table gestures of like, I've got the next one or I have the next one. What we might do is, if you've ever been to like a Fogo de Chao or one of those, what are they, Brazilian meat places where they've got the little cards that like green for go and red for stop. We might just have those like on the table so you guys can see them, because how much fun would that be? Where I'm like, I got this, and then just watch like, I mean, you should be able to see behind the scenes stuff. You should be able to enjoy it and have fun with us, right? This doesn't need to be a formal thing. In fact, that's part of our problem. We got too formal. Let's not do that anymore. Let's be informal. Let's just be a bunch of geeks geeking out over space. Let's see here. Space TV. Tomorrow is the best YouTube channel about space. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I think we're a good YouTube channel, but I think that there are some amazing YouTube channels out there. Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut, his deep dives into space. You know what? I am a principal engineer at an aerospace company. Just that's what I do, right? I learned a whole bunch of stuff about aerospike engines in Tim Dodd's video. As I should, right? As like we should all always be learning. But the point is, wow, what an incredible series. And that is the standard for which all of his videos are based, I would kind of argue. And so there are a lot of amazing channels out there. I think we've just been around the longest. I mean, 13 years is a while. We've watched other channels come and go, but we've had the staying power. Don't know why. Actually, I think I do know why. I think it's sheer will. Like, I refuse to give up. There have been times when it would have been easier to give up. Even the end of 2019, it would have been easier to give up. For those who don't know, the show is upside down by about $2,000 a month. So that means that every month I personally contribute $2,000 to the show. And so it's really easy for me to go, you know, let's not do that anymore. We're done with the show. I can't afford it. Like, transitioning to female is expensive. Running this show is expensive. But I refuse to give up. Sheer willpower is what keeps us on the air, I think, at this point. Jason Chambers says, yes, beer time. Jim Griffin says, what happened to Space Mike? Okay. Good question, and it isn't Ask Me Anything. So I'm going to skirt this one a little bit. But I will say we all parted ways nicely. No one, as far as I know, no one's angry at anyone else. There wasn't really a falling out. However, we have certain minimum requirements that we have of all of our cast and crew. Some of that stuff wasn't being met. Like, tons of personal stuff going on. Totally understand. I get it. But at the same time, like, I have to produce this show. I'm not, again, sheer willpower. We're not going to just give up. And it got to a point where I didn't have much of a choice and we needed to part ways. Space Mike will not be returning to tomorrow. I have no ill will towards him. I think he's a really great individual. I'm hopeful that he finds an amazing job in aerospace if that's what he wants to do. I know that he's got a lot going on, and I really hope that everything like settles and comes to a really great place in his life. But that place will not be here. I know that that was a little bit fuzzy, but I don't think it fair to air everyone's dirty laundry when the other party isn't here necessarily. I don't want to say able to defend themselves, but there are two sides to every story, right? And so I'm sure that we misstepped as well. I constantly misstep. I'm a pain in the butt to work for. So I'm sure that, yeah, anyhow. But there you go. Let's see here. Jason says, I'll bring my Royal Crown and Coke. Oh, $5 from Air Icarus for shots. Not this one. So this one, I'm only drinking bubbly. One of the tricky things is on my new diet, alcohol is not forbidden, but it's kind of like not super allowed either, because it kind of turns to sugar, and like I'm trying to be a better me, and that doesn't help me there. Having said that, we're going to do it. I don't really care. And, you know, and in Smoke Scale, talking about Space Mike chose to part ways with Tomorrow for purely unrelated reasons. He needs to step back and reevaluate. Yeah, that is part of it as well. Again, he had a lot going on, unrelated to anything here, completely and totally understand, but related to this show, just so everyone's clear and there's no doubt that we are drawing a line in the sand, and that is done. Mars Bell says, we love you. Thank you. Let's see here. Sorry, this is why you need two people, right? Oh yeah, and actually talking to Mike, he still pops up in the chat from time to time, so he's doing good. Again, I think it's very important that we all wish him well wishes, right? Like, I don't want him to fail. I don't have a problem with him as a person. I need to run the show, right? So I really hope, like, I think he'd be really good at like a social media position, or like if he could get his foot in the door of an aerospace company, I think that would be really good for him. But like, I don't entirely know where. He's in Utah, so maybe Orbital ATK. He's in Utah, right? Arizona? He's in Arizona. Anyhow. Tomorrow bloopers. We put some bloopers at the end of news. I haven't done that for a little while. I hope everyone likes the new look and feel for news in 2020, like that kind of colorful look and feel. I'm really kind of digging it. I've actually wanted that for a number of years. And when we built the Open that had like the blue lines and whatnot, the thing I told the company that was doing that, I was like, look, I want this to be colorful and vibrant. And it came back with a almost monochromatic blue, and I went, cool. If the challenges were equal between Mars and Venus, which one would be better for terraformation? I mean, I guess it depends on what you want to do. If you're looking to terraform the planet for habitation on the surface, that's an easy answer. That's going to be Mars, because you can terraform Mars and you can literally live on the surface. The thing is, the way the atmosphere is in Venus, you wouldn't really live on the surface of Venus. Really, you'd live on ships in clouds. So it would kind of be like, what is it, Cloud City in Star Wars. So it's all, I mean, but that would be really cool too. Imagine taking like a Venus cruise and getting on a cruise ship that's sailing the clouds of Venus, because that's kind of the buoyancy of the atmosphere up there. It's like it would like be putting a ship in water, except you'd be on the clouds, assuming that the acid doesn't eat through your ship. Let's see here. Tamitha says, love these one-on-ones. Thank you, Tamitha. Love your space news and weather. And as Smokescale says, weather is awesome. Colton says, I like once a month epic hangouts, but also maybe the community choose something on Discord. Oh, hey, this brings up another interesting point. I really screwed this up in years past, and I'm going to work really hard to fix this. I believed incorrectly that by moving tomorrow into as many venues as possible, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, chats, caffeine, any new live platform, that if you were on that platform and you saw us broadcasting, that would be an interesting way to hook you in and bring you into the live show. That was kind of why Colton's chat room was formed, like so we could bring all of this chat into a centralized location. That thinking is fundamentally wrong. And the reason for that is, instead of having one powerhouse on YouTube where everyone goes to YouTube, we get all of the views and subscribers on YouTube, allowing the YouTube algorithm to go, oh, people are interested in this. I took it and I spread it out. And so YouTube went, people are kind of interested. And Twitch went, people are kind of interested. And we were never able to really get the momentum necessary because I had spread our load out, which was all me. Like, I shouldn't have done that. And so moving into 2020, we are super consolidating everything. Like, YouTube is it, right? Everything's moving to YouTube. If you're on Patreon, I would love it if you would consider moving over to YouTube memberships. If not, that's okay. We'll still use Patreon. You saw us post this on Patreon. Like, we are moving as much stuff as we can to YouTube, including, like, I'm considering taking TMRO.tv and just punching it straight over to our YouTube channel, right? I really want to focus on growing our YouTube channel in 2020. It's not about Twitter. It's not about the community. The point of all of this is community.tmro.tv is going away. anything that's around tomorrow that's not part of our YouTube channel is likely going away. We are going to really focus on building an epic community on YouTube, making sure that it is a good community, not one filled with toxic commenters, and really focusing our time there this year forward. There may be a time when it makes sense for us to spread back out again, but that is not today. So just know that. Let's see here. Jamie's ego again. Where's Carrie Ann when you need her? Actually, tonight she is at a holiday party. She is at a Company X holiday party for her department. So that kind of gave me an opportunity to break away. It was either jump on the treadmill, which I was not looking forward to doing, or come here and talk to you. I'm still going to jump on the treadmill after this. But I thought this would be good. I should actually be editing Space News, but I'm doing this instead, which means Space News is going to be late. Destructor says, Tamitha, I would love an occasional science lesson around your weather reporting. For example, an explainer as to how solar activity affects radio propagation. That's a great idea. I think that'd be a lot of fun. All right, let's see here. Actually, this is funny. So, in smallinated, the opposite of embiggenated. So, one of my claim to fames is, in fact, on the show I won the Emmy for, I was working with NASA PAO and specifically NASA TV, and we were talking about there are those like boxes on the screen where you've got like the big rocket on the left and then the small talent rocket over here. In broadcast television, those are normally called double hops. But we had two versions, one where the two were the same size, and one was big and small. And so I started calling one of them the embiggenated version and the other one the smallinated version. And I got NASA during a broadcast to use the words embiggenated and smallinated in actual comms on the air. I was like, my life is complete. This is amazing. I got NASA to use embiggenated and smallinated. I was stressed out during that broadcast, but that moment brought a smile to my face. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Let's see here. Sorry, you guys are going faster than I can keep up, so I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to just jump to the end and kind of work my self backwards. Leland is a new member. Welcome, Leland. Thank you very much. And if I missed anyone else that's a new member, I'm so sorry. I am moving far too slowly for all of this. By the way, there's no time limit on any of this tonight. I'm just going to kind of go until it feels like we should stop. Maybe that'll be 20 minutes. Maybe that'll be an hour. Maybe it'll be 3 hours. I have no idea. I just figured this would be fun. We haven't done this for a while. It's going to be if you're watching on demand, I hope you're not bored silly. Jamie says, maybe YouTube could create a social media type thing so you can have a chat like Discord for Facebook or something like that. Well, they do have the community area. So we are posting things in the community area, and you can kind of jump over to the community tab and see some of that stuff. So that's actually kind of cool. Oh, I'm glad Jamie's cheating on her exercise. Boo! Yeah, sorry. It kind of sucks because it'd be amazing to drop Discord and just have everything in YouTube. Yeah, so I would love to have everything in YouTube. We are going to keep Discord, so that is one platform we're staying on. So make sure to join our Discord channel. There are links in like basically every descriptor that we've got. And there is a Discord reward for both Patreon and YouTube. Discord is important because it is our main communications channel. It was that or Slack, and you got to pay for Slack to get all the stuff we needed. So we're like, Discord. I think Discord is powerful because it allows me, you can see what's happening. If you're an Escape Velocity member, you can actually see the shows being built. You can see like what we're working on. You can see the scripts for the shows because I paste those in there. Like there's a lot that happens in Escape. Like you want to peek behind the curtain, Escape Velocity is where it's at. Having said that, it's also $50 a month, which I realize is not a small commitment, right? That's a lot of money. So I try to give as much behind the scenes access as I can to all the different levels. And you're going to see hopefully tomorrow, but like again, I'm really busy with IFA, and then there's an immediate Starlink launch right after that. I cannot tell you how buried I am at Company X right now, like in the best way possible, right? Like we're doing some amazing stuff, but because of that, like I'm trying to do all of that and work like a SpaceX schedule, and then come and like take care of all of tomorrow, 2020, and I'm just running out of hours in the day. So I'm trying to do these things, but please allow me a little bit of leeway, at least right now, as we work through, especially up till like DM2 kind of thing, but working on it. I got another new member. Welcome, Dan. Thank you for becoming a member. I really appreciate it. Gary Collins says, I'm pretty new here. What do you do in the space industry? I'm a principal video engineer for a major aerospace company that launches and lands rockets. And I will say, recently, during the landing coverage, there's not been a cutout, and that was a team effort. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to finally see that happen. I can't talk a lot about it more because, again, I can't talk about Company X, but like, oh my gosh, isn't that amazing? I was literally cheering solo, mind you, in the video control room. Everyone's looking at me like I'm crazy. But that was years in the making, and it seems like it's a simple issue to solve, but it is not. No guarantees it'll hold forever, but like, still gathering data, and like, it's looking promising. It's looking really promising. Let's see here. Yeah, sure, it's complicated. Yeah, I wish I could tell you, like, it's fun when I get into these conversations with people, like, again, like over drinks, and they're like, well, why don't you just do this, or why don't you just do this? And then I explain the 3 primary hurdles you need to get over, and immediately everyone's brain breaks. You can get over one of the 3. If you really try hard, you can get over 2 of the 3. But getting over all 3 of the primary hurdles was exceptionally difficult, and it didn't happen all at once. And like, my stuff was done a couple of years ago, and then like, I would just say that it would be interesting for someone to go back to the first landing and kind of like compile all of the different landings and how you could actually see us get better and better and better and better at it. And there's a moment in time where you can actually see where my infrastructure switched to a different system. And it was like there was an immediately jump in stability and quality. And then like, you can see us messing with other stuff. Like, you can't tell what we're doing, but you can tell we're doing something. So, Jared Head says, hard to make signal go through plasma. You have no idea. Matt says, congrats, Jamie, it was amazing. Thank you. Again, team, I am one small cog, and I wasn't even the piece that solved it. That was someone else completely. I just happened to be kind of in the chair that looks like it gets the credit, but ultimately I'm not the one who should get the credit for that particular one. Part of it is my stuff, and if my stuff wasn't fixed a while ago, we would still have the issue, but like the really hard one to fix, that wasn't me. I didn't fix the really hard part. That was someone else. Jamie says, I can't wait for Australia to launch their own space agency program soon. They did launch it, though, didn't they? Like, I mean, they're not making rockets or anything right now, but I thought the agency itself is launched, and they're hiring for it, I think. So if you want to work for the Australian Space Agency, I believe they've got open recs out for, like, peoples. Smoke scale. Just put GoPros on the rockets. I fight this to this day. You have... to this day. Oh, man. Riley asks, should Boeing have to redo the orbital test flight? I don't have enough data to come to a real conclusion on that. That's tricky. Because here's the thing to remember. Orbital flight OFT, orbital flight test, whatever it was. The T is test, right? I think that's the key takeaway. And there's this weird assumption that when you test something, it must fully succeed or you have failed. There's this like binariness to it. You either succeeded or you failed, but there's nothing in between. And that's not how tests work at all. And it looks like they were able to capture a substantial amount of very valuable data. including some of the really hard stuff like landing back on land. So they were able to meet a good chunk of objectives from what I can tell. They were not able to meet one, albeit major, objective of docking with the International Space Station. How important is that? Especially when you have crew on board. Like, they know it's space-worthy, they know the environmental systems work, they know that the emergency return to Earth process works, they know they can land, they know they can launch. Like, sure, they're missing this one step in between, but worst case scenario, well, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but you're able to gather that data on the next flight. Like, why do you need it to be uncrewed? Why can't you just put crew on it and gather that data with crew? If it doesn't work, send the crew back. If it does work, then you were able to get there faster with less money. So I'm kind of in the camp of no, they don't necessarily need to retest after they didn't meet all of the objectives, but I don't have the rest of their test data. I don't know what the rest of the vehicle looked like. I assume environmentals looked good. I assume landing looked good. I have no idea. Only Boeing can answer that. So really only Boeing and NASA, who have access to this data, can answer this question. But with the data I do have, I don't think they should have to retest. I think they should be able to go straight to station. That is my personal opinion only, and not that of anyone else. Terrence says, book flights to Anaheim to buy Jami drinks. Will Carrie Ann be jealous? No, but I think she's going to want drinks too. Like, why doesn't she get drinks? Jens said, it would be great to get technical insight into what you're doing to get the live landing footage. Alas, that's where the almost part of the Ask Me Almost Anything part session comes in. Because this is SpaceX related and because I work there, I cannot talk to this. Someday, maybe, assuming this isn't covered under ITAR ear, someday in my memoir, I have got so much stuff that is amazing that is just, I'm excited to be able to tell the world, and that day is not today. I will say, this is pretty, what's going on here to make this happen is actually kind of cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Jared says, use a buoy. Obviously, our solution was a buoy. It was a buoy. This joke comes from whenever, this is the first thing people suggest to me. Like, oh, well, why don't you just use a buoy? And then my response back is, think about what a buoy does in water. Think about one of the issues with maintaining satellite link. And think about how much vibration Merlin gives off. Now consider how far away that buoy needs to be from the vehicle. Now consider the ocean, and you tell me why a buoy won't work. And most people are like, oh yeah, that won't work. So, but this is almost always the go-to. Just use a buoy. I'm behind real time now because this takes a moment, but Dan says, sounds like a job for the SpaceX correspondent. I'm actually a little bit excited. I've narrowed it down to two, and we're going to bring, I think, one on potentially, I believe it's not this coming episode tomorrow, but the one next week. And he's younger, but he's enthusiastic and a little green, but I think he'll do a really good job. So be kind, give us constructive feedback, but I think this could be a good thing because SpaceX is doing a lot of stuff and we can't pretend like they don't exist. And I can't talk about them at all. Carrie Ann can't talk about them at all. We can't just ignore SpaceX on the channel. So I think this will be good. I think this will be good. Cody, yeah, oops, I missed that one, sorry. I've always been curious about how that stuff works. I don't know where you've been getting to learn about sending data through plasma. You and I both. It took me a hot minute. There was lots of testing, I'll put it that way. I do like that for a few seconds before re-entry blackout, we get pretty plasma re-entry effects on the night launches. You mean this is on the vehicle video where you're looking down, you can actually see the plasma kind of coming up? Like you can see it kind of forming around the cone of the vehicle? Because you don't really see the plasma effect. you can't perceive that effect on the drone ship. So I assume this is on the stage 1 camera that looks down. You see the grid fin. You see those start to glow red hot, which in and of itself was really freaking cool when you think about that. By the way, it's hard to perceive scale on those cameras. I wish there was a way I could better convey it. Those grid fins, when you're looking at that and you're like, oh wow, that thing is red hot. I'm going to get cut off here, but they stand like taller than me, right? So I don't even fit in the frame here, and those grid fins are taller than a human. That's how big they are. They're just massive, and they're glowing red hot and steering this vehicle. Oh, they're so amazing. I'm imagining Jami sitting in an Emperor Palpatine chair at Company X. No, I do have my own chair in the video control room. It is kind of like my spot. No one else is, like everyone else kind of rotates around, but they don't take my chair. What is interesting is because I'm transitioning to female, there are some surgeries that will be occurring, which puts me in an interesting position of needing to be out of the office for well over a month without the ability to come in and help with launches, which has not been the case for 8 years. For 8 years now, every single launch that you've seen out of Company X, I have been there for to help with the broadcast. 100% of them. There was one of them where I had to attend from the Cape, but I was still there. I was at the Cape instead of in Hawthorne, but I was still there, still logged into the systems, still monitoring and still helping out. And so I will, for the very first time, have to miss some launches because there's no way that SpaceX is going to hold launches for me, as they shouldn't. And there's also no way that there's not going to be a launch in that window. There isn't. So I have been cross-training people to help kind of replace me in those roles. And I do kind of have almost this Emperor Palpatine kind of like, do my bidding now. I will not do this for you. You must do this for me. I will not tell you the answer. You must find it yourself. It's kind of fun. Actually, Colton brings up an interesting point. I would extend this beyond that. Everybody at the X has a reason for being there, and they are all equally important for the entire vision. This is true of every aerospace company. NASA, Blue Origin, SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, Virgin Orbit, everyone who works there, no matter what role they have in the company, they are contributing to the vision, they are contributing to the future of humanity. And there is no part, in my opinion, that is insignificant. Every last person is amazing, and I try to keep that in mind and treat every last person, regardless of anything, with that level of respect. Because I think that's, if you're willing to do what it takes to work at one of these companies, you've earned that level of respect, I think. It's tough. It's really, really tough. Would it be cool to have a live high-definition stream? This is from Space TV. Live high-definition stream of the Earth from the moon. And do you think that's even possible now? Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. Yes, it's possible. Yeah, that's possible. Yes, that's possible. Sorry. Yes, it is possible. It is difficult, but possible. I'm not sure the moon is quite right. Maybe. So you'd have to find the right framing for it to make sense. I feel like a geostationary satellite might be cooler. But you know what? I think more live feeds from space are good. I think what would be better in this scenario isn't necessarily just like an uncrewed camera on the moon, but rather a permanently settled moon colony or moon base, and a camera kind of at the base, maybe looking at the door of the base, and if possible, the Earth in the background, depending upon like the orientation of the moon to the Earth and like how they're pointed at each other versus where the base is, right? Because you may not actually have a good shot of the Earth. But I think that would be cooler because then you would see humans on this alien body, and you would see our home planet in the background. I think that would be really inspiring. only having a home planet in the background, I don't think is quite the same. At that point, why am I even on the moon? I'll just do it from GTO. Or Geo. I don't know why I do it from a transfer orbit. I mean, I suppose I could. Regarding GoPro cameras, colleagues say if space was easy, everyone would do it. Yeah, no kidding. Let's see here. Terrence says, I still have Jami's story about getting hired. I don't think she can repeat it here. Yeah, actually I can. I don't think I'm restricted on that. So we started Space Vidcast again like 13 years ago. And this was basically Carrion and I doing this in our basement. We would go to space shuttle launches and stream them in high definition online. And this is back in the day when NASA was streaming in Windows Media Player and Rio Player in these itty bitty teeny weeny little postage stamp sized videos. And it was a really terrible experience. And we were like, we can do this better. And so we streamed in Flash, which I realize is bad today. But back in the day, Flash was included on like all of the browsers. So you didn't need to do anything. You would just go to our page. It would magically load this high definition video with an interactive chat room. And we would be at the press site with astronauts, and you'd be like, hey, I want to ask this question. We'd have a rocket, like a space shuttle launch about to happen. And we'd be doing all this really cool interactive stuff. We were the only ones doing this. We were ginormous. From a viewership standpoint, we were the second largest entity at the press site, next only to Fox News. I was never able to beat Fox News, and that drove me crazy. To this day, I have never beat Fox News. I'm like, wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. There was one broadcast, though, where we were larger than CNN and MSNBC combined, and I was like, yeah. And we were stable, right? So we're in high definition, which no one else is. We're universally accessible. We've got a chat room, and we're stable. And we're doing all of this, and it's this really incredible thing. And if you're like, oh, wow, the SpaceX graphics are cool, that all came from Space Vidcast, right? I had those on the bottom of the screen. I had actually quite a bit more data than you have now. It wasn't as pretty, and it wasn't quite right because we had to do some interpolation. We had the clock, and we did fun things where, like, if the countdown would hold, we would change into red shirts really quick. When the countdown would resume, we'd change into green shirts. If the countdown was holding with an unknown status, so like maybe it was holding, but it was a scheduled hold, but whatever, we had like gray and black shirts. It was really cool. So we're doing all that. And then SpaceX is in the Falcon 1 days. Keep in mind, this is how long ago it is. Falcon 1. And they are having a hard time. Like, they're in the same boat as NASA and everyone else, ULA. Well, it wasn't ULA at the time. I think it was USA at the time. So they're having a really, maybe it was ULA, I don't remember, having a really hard time keeping the streams online. And so I was a pretty big New Space fan, even at the beginning. Like, I saw this vision of the future, and I'm like, that's the future. I think that's where humanity needs to go. And so they're challenged with their stream. I'm like, well, guys, I'm more than happy to help you out. I will tell you everything I know. We'll stabilize this whole platform. All I ask is you fly me out, so I don't have to pay for it. You get me a hotel room, so I don't have to pay for it. If you don't mind, a tour of a rocket factory would be really freaking cool. I'll sit down with you, and we'll work all of this out. I'll teach you everything I know. We'll be done in like a day or two, and then you'll be high def, online, stable, all of it. And they said, cool. We could do that, or how about we just hire you instead? And that was, nearly 8 years ago? Is that right? Nearly 9 years ago? That was 2011. What is it now? It was nearly 9 years ago. Wow. I'm getting old, man. And I've been there ever since. I hope that story lived up to your expectations. Tomorrow question. What direction do you want to see the show go in 3 years? Go bigger, go smaller, refresh the set? I think smaller, interestingly enough. Smaller in terms of cast. I think we tried to grow too quickly, and we tried to add too many people too fast. And I think a lot of what makes Tomorrow interesting is our relationship with you. Like this relationship right here, I think is interesting. And this relationship is extremely hard to do if you've got a boatload of people. Because then now you're developing a boatload of relationships. So I think really having a fine, focused cast of characters that truly love what they do and enjoy it and are passionate about it, and we're just sharing our love and excitement for space with you, is where we want to go. I want to be larger in that I would like to get more subscribers. I would love it if in 2020, tomorrow, went over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Legitimate subscribers, not bots or anything like that, like legitimate people who care about the show. It'd be really nice if we could get over 100,000, which is 2x the speed that my analytics say we'll make it there. They say we will make it there at the end of 2021, not by the end of 2020. And wouldn't it be cool if we could get so much growth that we got there this year? I think that would be really amazing. This set, I love this set, but I also associate the set with the start of where I start. Like, that is the beginning moment where I started to screw up. Now, it's not the set's fault, but that was like, I got into this kind of like, we'll make it more broadcasty, we'll make it more professional. And this is a mental reminder of that. The thing is, it's so good. The set is so cool. So I kind of don't want to give it up. I don't want to change it. I really love the set. I wish that the background was animated, but I don't want it to be green screen. Like, I wish it was an LED wall that was back there that like had the planet moving and like we would be literally in orbit around the planet. That would be really cool. But like the power requirements and the cost for that, again, the show's upside down by $2,000 a month. Now I'm going to spend $100,000 on a LED wall behind there? I don't think so. Because that's not green screen. This is all real physical set. That is an actual printed graphic back there. Like, that you come in studio, you'll see exactly this. There's not a lick of green on that wall. So that might change. I might do green. I don't know. Anyhow, I think smaller cast, more intimate venues, a lot like this, faster growth, more growth on YouTube, and a really good focus on what we want to do is kind of my 3-year vision for everything. Man, you guys are going way faster than I am, so my apologies for not being able to keep up. Yeah, I wonder if there's green screen, no green glow anywhere. Yeah, so Cody says, again, I've worked in broadcast television for almost, oh man, is it over 30 years now? Oh my God, it's over 30 years. I'm old. And I've learned that green screen works great if you can do it right. And doing it right live is woefully expensive. And until I can afford a live Ultimat system, that ain't happening. Have we tried projecting stars onto the printed graphic? We have not. This is, I wonder if I should, I was about to tip over my soda. Let's see if I can do this. Nope, go the other way. Watch me fail. All right, let's see here if I do this. All right, so if you look at that space background back there, that only has about this much depth between the back of the set and that graphic itself. And we're doing a few optical illusions with lighting. Actually, so like you can even see the lighting like pumping through here. We've got some hard reverse lights that are lined up with the graphic from where the sun is hitting the graphic, so that it's as if that local star is pushing through the window, illuminating the planet and illuminating the windows in the set itself. And so because we don't have very much throw, and because we have that lighting infrastructure back there, it's exceedingly difficult to be able to do something like get a projector back there. We could get a super short throw system, but like, I mean, it's really, really close. How much in total for all the stickers? Yeah, no kidding. Like that background fell down more than once. It just did not want to adhere. So I want to say it was $10,000, $15,000 in background when it was all said and done. I would have to go back and look, though. That could be a very wrong number. I legit don't remember. Loopy says, home projection is getting cheap. They build projectors in smartphones now. Yeah, but I need it to be very, very bright and very, very quiet. because we've got a lot of light on the set. And remember that the way projection works is you have to basically compete with your other ambient light sources. And so in order for that to work, we're going to have to throw, on the right side of that graphic, eyeballing it. I don't have a meter on it, but eyeballing it, I probably have to throw about 25,000 lumens at it. On the left side, I could get down, on the left side, I could go way down. I could go down to like maybe even 1,000 lumens, because there's just like the way we light the set, there's literally no light on that side. What we could do, theoretically, to get around that issue, is we could simply not light the background and use the projector as the light source, but then I'm going to need probably 25,000 across the board. Now, consider, again, I would have to take a meter to it, but that's, like, you got to understand, like, that's the kind of lighting we have in here. Yeah. Oh, also, hi, Vax. Vax is waving dismissively. This Ask Me Almost Anything is turning into Jamie's midlife crisis. Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully this isn't my midlife crisis. Hopefully this is all my, like, third life crisis. 1/3 of my life crisis, because I would like to live to be, I want to live to be older than 100. I feel like that's legit. Like, yeah. Hired Gun 05, please do not go to green screen. Authentic is much better. I tend to agree. I will only move to green screen if I feel that we can do it in a way that looks great, right? I think this set looks great. I think it looks great. Cody says, I saw some laser projectors at CF that have super short throw beam. They cost like $14,000 though. Yeah, and actually laser projectors are probably what would work. I could be really, really wrong too, right? I mean, I might only need like 10,000 lumens or 5,000 lumens, but I don't, just like, I've done this for 30 years and I can generally kind of get fairly close with eyeballing it, and that's what it seems like it would take. And it doesn't have to be an LED wall, and it doesn't have to move. It just has to be, I don't know. I don't think that's the important part of the show, right? Like, the important part of the show is this. The important part of the show is giving you really cool information that you maybe didn't have already. Yeah, like, the background is cool, but it's not something that I think is worth focusing on for the future of tomorrow. It's just kind of a, wouldn't it be cool if? And maybe I'll leave that to the community. Like, if that's something that you guys really want fixed, like, if you want to come up with a solution, I'm more than willing to give it a shot. But, like, I'm going to focus more on doing AMAs, making, like, bringing back that kind of interactive feel to the shows, stuff like that. I think that's more important and really where I want to focus my time, as opposed to, like, swapping out the background. The thing is, you go back like 4 years, and I was really hyper-focused on making sure those details were right, like making sure the background is right, and like how it all lined up, and like how all of this lined up. And again, I think that was kind of the beginning of me screwing up the show and focusing on the wrong items, what doesn't matter, and not focusing on the soul of the show, so to speak, but kind of the pretty exterior of it that really people didn't care that much about, and sacrificing the soul of the show so that it could be prettier. And I want to undo that. That doesn't mean that it needs to be ugly. It just means that I really want to focus on making sure that that fun, interactive, like, excitement feeling comes back into the show and into the live streams. I think that's important. Oh, Jason, I still remember this Space Vidcast failed chroma key intro wipe that didn't always work. It would cut to black. Oh, man. I do, too. It was hilarious. That was the Space News. There was that one where it would, like, have the space station thing that would fly over, and sometimes it would reveal to green as opposed to revealing to logo. Oh, man, it was hilarious. Every letting off steam with Jamie is a midlife crisis about the show. Terrence, you're not wrong. Hey, I have done a lot of self-reflecting over the last year. Like, you're gonna give me a moment here. I feel like I've done enough reflecting where you got to give me at least a little bit of it. Hopefully, Nirisco. Jamie, you are awesome. Keep doing what you do. We appreciate all the hard work you and the team do. Well, thank you very much. And I think it's important to remind everyone that it is a team. At the end of the day, my general policy is I do my best to take the credit for everything that fails and give the credit away for everything that succeeds. That's I think what I attempt to do, and I will say that like I've got an amazing team that works here that works extremely hard for not a lot of money, and they produce some amazing content. And despite my missteps on like how the show should be moving forward and like what we should be focusing on, they continue to do an amazing job in spite of me. And hopefully I can like steer things back around to the area where they actually kind of belong. Jared Head says practical effects are greater than CGI. I completely agree. As does Smoke Scale. Oh my, Vax is going to be 59 in February. You don't look at Vax. You like there's an. I expected that to be a 4, not a 5. So well done. Jared asks, have you ridden Rise of the Resistance yet? I may or may not be this week. So for those who don't know, Carrie Ann and I were married at Walt Disney World 18 years ago, going on 19 years, and loved it. And as such, we tried to visit Walt Disney World often. And when we moved out to California for Company X, we actually got a place 3 miles away from Disneyland. And the very, very, very first thing that I did when I got off the plane, it wasn't go to the hotel room to drop off my luggage. It wasn't to go to try to find a house. It wasn't to do anything. The very first thing we did is we put the luggage in the car. We drove the car to Disneyland, and I bought us annual passes to Disneyland. Since then, we have actually embiggenated our Disneyland kind of membership, and we are actually Club 33 members at this point. If you don't know what that is, you can kind of look that up. With Club 33 membership, we sometimes get early access to things, including the new attraction in Disneyland, Rise of the Resistance. And the Club 33 membership preview day was this morning, and I was at Disneyland at just after 6 a.m. Pacific time so that we could get in the virtual queue and ride the attraction, and it was worth it. This is the future of theme parks. If this is where Disney is going and Disneyland and Walt Disney World is going in 2020, I am on board. This is the most incredible attraction I have ever seen in my life. It will break your brain. You will love it. I can say no bad things about this. It was amazing. I'm speechless at how amazing this attraction was. If you are not a Disney fan, go just for this. If you're a Star Wars fan, you obviously have to go. But it's like if VR was able to do. That's neat. Not sure where that's coming from. Hang on. Cool. If VR was able to be real life, like they could tap into your brain and make you perceive objects in 3 dimensions and touch and feel them, that's what this is. You are it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Marty Martian, forget the projector, just go to space. I would love to broadcast from the moon sometime. Wouldn't that be cool? Going back to that earlier question, I think that'd be really awesome. Do you remember when we used to use acoustic foam on a wall with a blue light? And the best part about this blue light was it had like a 60 hertz refresh on it, and so it would like flicker up the screen if I didn't get the shutter rate on the camera right, and sometimes I wouldn't get the shutter rate on the camera right because the screen refresh on the camera was too slow, so I wouldn't see that it was creating a problem until I went over and looked at the YouTube video, and you just see the like flickering up the wall. You could also see it if you like fast forward through the YouTube videos. You can actually see. Oh man! So another personal story. So part of my transition, I actually have a giant dragon tattoo. It starts here. The head of the dragon is here. Goes up and over my shoulder, and it ends down here. It's a tribal dragon. It's all black ink. And when I got this, I got this 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 15 to 20 years ago. I got this tattoo, and at the time, like. Like, I knew but had not accepted my gender. So because I hadn't accepted it, I kind of buried it in the back of my brain. I'm like, I'm going to get a giant tattoo. So I get this giant tattoo, and I didn't account for things like bra lines and whatnot. And so now the tattoo is not cutting me correctly, and so I'm having it removed. And I had a session yesterday. I cannot describe to you the pain that was, and it still hurts, and now it itches, but anytime I touch it or go to itch it, I get shearing pain up my back, and so that's why you sometimes see me reaching over trying to, oh, it's terrible, it's terrible. Paul Nielsen says, agreed, nice set. Yeah, set's already super awesome, we don't need to do anything. Tamitha agrees, like, hard to do. It's just diminishing returns. If I have free time and free money to make that happen, sure. But like, let's focus on the things that matter right now. Yeah, everyone's basically agreeing. They're prohibited with silence. Jami, you're off. I probably missed you, but signing off. Hope you had great live shows. It was great to have you in this AMA. I hope you enjoyed your time. Oh, this is a great one. Smoke scale. When are you going to get a baby Yoda to put on set somewhere? That's a great idea. We should hide a baby Yoda and like move it around the set so it's like in the background of the shot, like in a corner somewhere, or maybe like just its head popping out on the bottom of the screen. That would be fun. Yeah, that's a good idea. I think you're going to start to see. We need to add some more Easter eggs back into the show. I think that would be great. Let's do that. Oh, yeah, that's right. We used to have a Benny on this set. We had the little astronaut Benny that we moved around. Yeah. Jason is calling me a nerd. Which, calling a space nerd a nerd, I know, right? Oh, Smokescale, what did you do with the piece of art that I sent you? So Smokescale sent me because I am a huge fan of dragons. Actually, before I go into that story, you're going to have this awkward moment where I'm not on camera and not on mic for a moment. I need to use the restroom because I have been drinking water for most of the night. So give me a moment and I will be back. All right, I am also going to turn the heat down a little bit, because it is getting really warm in here. I'm surprised at how much that heater can put out. All right. What did I do with the piece of art? Actually, we still have it at home because I am still a huge fan of dragons. I think it's pretty awesome. Also, so this was a kind of a dragon. I don't know what you call it, but like a dragon representation of me. And it happened right as I kind of like on the air came out as being transgender, and so there was a skirt or like a tutu added into the picture, which I thought was absolutely hilarious and appropriate. Yeah. What? You're human? Well, maybe I just needed to get an oil change. Something. Intermission time. Will I leave the mic on? No, and actually I have learned through the years, if you watched before I stood up, not only did I turn the mic off, I actually took the pack and unplugged it as well. Because sometimes you can inadvertently reflick that switch because it's just a tiny little switch up top, but that don't matter if it's unplugged. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I have background noises going for this entire webcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. I just felt like something more than just my voice would be fun. This came from, so ContraPoints was doing a live AMA for all of her patrons, and I watched that because I just wanted to see how she did it. And she had like a subtle little like music theme, just like a 1 minute or 2 minute loop just happening she did like a 4-hour AMA. Like that girl is crazy. And she was drinking the whole time. Like, I don't know how she did that. And I was like, actually, that is a really good idea. And since I'm on the space station side, I don't need to do necessarily music, but I've got like space station sound things. Hopefully, I can't hear them because I don't have my ears in, but like, hopefully they're working. I can see them on the view meter. Oh my gosh, a Monty Python and the Holy Grail intermission would be great. Let's see here. This would be funny. Colton says, what would be funny right now is if a viewer became a guest. Would be hilarious. I go off set for a potty break, but someone else comes back and takes my place. that would indeed be pretty funny. Also, I really like this like framing, like with the TV, maybe a little bit more this way. But like this and being able to have the questions up here and me being able to talk to you and like see this. Actually, this is also a really powerful system. So I do want to give props to Colton for this. Because, again, I'm a terrible person to work for. But this is driven by Colton's code. And, like, you are all in the YouTube chat room, and I've got an iPad here that has, like, that chat popping up. And I can press different buttons. I can make the chat room do different things. For example, the ability to build it in real time and bring it up on the screen. That is not something that you really see much of anywhere else other than on big, expensive news programs where they're kind of cheating a little bit and they're spending a boatload of money on like a Ross, not Inception. Is it Inception? Oh man, I forgot I'm tired. But anyhow, the Ross video system or like a Grass Valley playback system or whatever you're using, like a Chiron, whatever. Like we're not going to spend $25,000 or $50,000 for a channel of this stuff. And Colton like built all of this, and like this is all 4K, and it's really quite amazing. All the different backgrounds, and I think this is the going back to the show, I believe stuff like this is our secret sauce. Not the tech. It's not the tech that matters. It's the fact that I can talk with you and like your questions with your name and your avatar come up on screen, and we are having these dynamic conversations. You are just as much of the show as I am. We lost that like around 4 years ago, and I desperately want to bring that back. And I think this is one of those things that is helping that. And Colton built all of this stuff. What a thankless job that has been, but it is amazing. Also the lower thirds, which I'm not doing right now because I don't have the mental CPU power to deal with that. Let's see here. Juggling lessons, just got it. You'll have to watch for. I don't know if anything interesting happened in the first hour. I think these are more interesting live, personally, but I'll leave it archived. I don't know if I'll leave it unlisted or public or what I'll do, but like, you know, I warned everyone in the beginning on the show format, so. Is that audio track that plays in the room or a mixer? It's in the, oh man, playing it in the room would be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah, but then when I unplug my mic, you wouldn't hear it. No, this is in the mixer. This is actually just some YouTube thing that I'm playing back. I did this 9 minutes before we went live. I decided to do this. I found it on YouTube. I had to create a new Dante route for it, reprogram the board really quick, and then bring it up. Hopefully the audio level on that is about right, where it's not too much. It's not so much that it's distracting, but it's enough where you can hear it a little bit. I have no idea. Again, I don't have my ears in. Oh, Tamitha. At least Jamie is savvy enough to turn off the mic. No, 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 no. Oh, honey. No. As with all of us, this is a learned skill. We've all made this mistake in the past before, myself included. Yep. Yep. So, yep. We've all made that. And then you make that mistake exactly one time in your life and never again. And again, that's why it's off and unplugged. One time in your life. Fursana. That was the word I was looking for. It was my Fursana dressed as a princess. And my Fursana is the dragon. And actually, I had something like that. It was a little bit different back in the day. But yeah, someone else had drawn me. Anyhow, yeah, that's the whole thing. I think you asked what I did with it. It's actually still at home. So I talked about it, but I didn't tell you what I did with it. It's still at home. You sent a bunch of different things. It's not hung up yet. I actually don't know what to do with it because it doesn't quite fit the aesthetic. Like, we've got a certain aesthetic in the house that we've curated over a number of years. And now we're at the point where we're actually trying to swap out in the main living area. Like, each season gets a new, we've got like shag paintings up on certain walls that kind of match different seasons. I know, pretentious, whatever. I'm pretentious, just deal with it. And like, it doesn't fit. So, but like, I don't want it to not, like, it's near and dear to me, so it needs to go somewhere. I just don't know where yet. Maybe it should come here. Maybe it should come here. Mathak, I think is, how are the hosts for SpaceX chosen? So that unfortunately goes into a SpaceX Company X thing. And once again, because I'm employed at Company X, I have to skirt around this, I'll just say, very carefully. But they are real engineers. Like, that is actually one of the things that I love about those webcasts. They're not actors. They're not playing pretend. They are real, for realsies engineers. It's pretty cool. Let's see here. Jason Chambers, this Ask Me Almost Anything is going on for so long, I need a new beer. Right. So, and then I really wish we had the Soma bar, which we still to this day don't have. Well, that's been going on for like 3 or 4 years at this point. Oh man, maybe like 5 or 6 years actually. I thought that would be fun, where you guys get to choose what I'm drinking. And I know that you would always give Carrie Ann something amazing and me something totally disgusting. And I think that adds to the hilariousness of it. But yeah, I just don't foresee that happening anytime. Oh my gosh, Terrence, thank you so much. Ross Expression, that was going to bother me so much. There's a social plugin for the Ross Expression. Ross is the name of the company. Expression is the name of the software. This is a character generation system. It's like literally builds characters. That's what that term comes from. And then this is one of the more popular ones. It kind of, it used to be Chiron, a company called Chiron. And specifically, the product called Infinite was the most popular system. It was like you went into any television station and they had a Chiron Infinite. You had a Chiron operator, and that's why sometimes they'll say, bring up the Chiron. It's like saying, get me a Kleenex. It's a brand name. But yeah, I always use CG because I thought saying Chiron was stupid. Nah, you're learning about TV now, and you're bored. Sorry. All right. Let's see here. Once the show's breaking even, that's $2,000 a month. I could go into getting a fursuit. Yeah, I mean, that's funny. No, all of this would go into Jami. I got to tell you, transitioning from Benjamin to Jami is freakishly expensive, which just to be blunt, it puts strain on the show because I'm paying for the show. And when you $2,000 a month comes out to about $24,000 a year, that's not an insignificant amount of money. And that's money that I could be putting into facial feminization surgery or, well, which we won't get into too many details as to how all of that goes, but like stuff like that, that go towards, how do I word this? I'm trying to choose words so people understand, not trying to choose my words carefully. Trying to describe the feeling of being born in the wrong body is extremely difficult. Like I try to think, how would I have described this to myself 4 years ago or 5 years ago? What words would I have used what words would I choose to use to tell myself how I would feel? I have never come up with a really great way to describe it. But it is important to me on a personal level to get these things fixed. And so, yeah, it's difficult because now I'm taking things that I can use to fix me, to make me feel better, to put me in a better place, and I can't use those assets there. And so it sucks a little bit. But, only sucks a little bit, doesn't suck a lot of it, Like, also, I will get there. It might just take a little bit longer, but like, you don't want to wait, right? I dragged my feet for over 20 years. And then when I finally admitted it to myself, I just wanted to move as fast as possible. I am learning to kind of appreciate the in-between awkward state because there is some interesting stuff there that most humans don't get to experience. And how cool is it that I get to experience that? Also, how cool is it that I get to experience both sides of the gender coin? That's also kind of neat. Most humans don't get to do that. So, like, I think these are all benefits and pros and not a con. But, like, yeah, I could just, like, if I could flip a switch and just be done with it, I feel like I would have flipped the switch. I'm not sure I would anymore. I think there's a certain something that goes into the process. You appreciate it. The process forces you to appreciate it more. Yeah, actually, yes, these are much better words, Smokescale. The journey is as important, if not more so, than the destination. And these are easy words to say, but when you've got that, like, in your heart and you just want to fix it, it's hard to comprehend. So these words are very true, but hard to accept. But still very true. Dragging your feet, is that wearing sparkling shoes? Hey, I have sparkly shoes. They're amazing. I will bring them on. They sparkle something fierce. They are incredible. Oh, speaking of, like my voice obviously it's a male voice, right? Vocal folds got hit with testosterone at puberty. I grew up male, so I have all the male inflections. And so there are things you can do to train your voice to be more feminine, and I start that process next week. So I'm excited for that. And again, I'm going to get more awkward before I get less awkward. Just for the record, like it's going to get bad. Like it's already not super great. It's going to get really bad. So just be prepared for that because I'm still going to be on air and it's going to be bad and I'm sorry. Am I Tony Stark in this? If Tony Stark is passionate enough to put money into the Avengers, it shows how passionate Jami is putting money in the show. So I think I'm being called Tony Stark, which we all know is Elon. So obviously I can't be Tony Stark. I'm more like Ant-Man. That's not right. Wasp Girl, was that the other one? I don't know. Colton says you're working on becoming the best you, and that's just amazing overall. And I would add to this, I'm always, much like I'm always working on making the show better, I'm always working on making myself better. I'm always always working on that. And that's kind of how I got to where I am now. I will never stop working on this, ever. I will never stop working on me. I will never stop working on the show. I just think we get one life, and I think it would be silly to throw it away. And I just want to be amazing. And I hope all of you think the same thing. I know that sounds all cheesy and whatnot, but it's true. That's like, if core Jami rule number one, I think that's basically it. Hire me to be your words guy. I got words. I got the best words. So talking about like transgenderism, I describe it as getting, I believe this is as getting the urges of the other sex. I don't feel like that's quite right either, because that kind of implies, that has an implication of also sexual attraction, which doesn't, I don't want to say doesn't apply, but also isn't it. So gender and sex are kind of different things. This gets really complicated, and again, it exceeds kind of the talk of this, but like, I'm not sure this is quite, at least for me personally, I'm not sure this is quite right either. Mark, have you ever seen inside of a Dragon capsule, and how so, if so, how did it feel? Okay, so this is old enough where I think I can tell this story. So before Crew Dragon was ever announced, at the time it was called Dragon V2, which is I'm glad it's Crew Dragon now. I needed to get infrastructure set up inside of the vehicle, both for the announcement and then for some other things as well. And so I was one of maybe 24 people that were going in and out of this vehicle ever, right? This wasn't a super wide known vehicle. This was serial number 000, right? This is the one when Elon brings the scrim down and you see the dragon sitting there. That one. So I have to get a bunch of stuff inside of this thing. And not all of the ingress-egress infrastructure is set up on this yet, because we're still building it. And so there's really just like one handlebar you would grab onto, and then you'd have to, and there was no real floor system yet. So you'd have to grab onto it and then swing into it and kind of like let go and then fall onto the inside. And more than once on the way in, I would bang my head hard on the outside door, to the point where like I would get like red marks and massive headaches from going in and out of Dragon constantly. And so I came home, and I can't talk about, this is a secret project at the time, right? So I can't talk about it with any other SpaceXers. I can't talk about it with any of my family or friends. The only person I can really talk about it with is Carrie Ann, because she's my spouse and she also works at SpaceX. And I was given clearance to talk about this stuff with Carrie Ann. And so I'm complaining about going in and out of this spaceship. And she's like, no. Do continue to complain about how you're going into this highly exclusive space capsule. No. I'm feeling for you here. No, truly, I'm feeling for you here. And it was at that moment where I'm like, oh, I guess I maybe shouldn't complain about the lack of handlebars. They did obviously fix that shortly thereafter, but like, yeah, that's kind of my first Inside Dragon story. I have been inside every variation of those, as well as the ones that go up, all of them, cargo and crew, including the simulators, the bucks, and all of the other items that are out there. So yes, I've been on all of them. They are, the way I would describe them is a TARDIS, if you're a Doctor Who fan. So they look tiny on the outside, and as soon as you get inside, like for some reason it feels like it just opens right up, and you're in a pocket dimension where it just gets bigger. Best way I could describe Crew Dragon is a TARDIS. Let's see what else we got here. Will we care about weird? No, you're a good friend. And actually, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. But again, remember, I'm a YouTube kind of personality. Not a famous one or a good one, but I am still on YouTube. And there are terrible humans on YouTube. And they like to say terrible things. And, you know, you try not to let it get under your skin. But the ratio of people that say crappy things versus the ratio of people that say nice things is about 100 to 1. And, you know, words start wars, and I have really thick skin, but once in a while, it's just a lot. And it's no one here, right? Obviously, if you're here, you're it's not you guys. You're all amazing. It's just those, like, some people, I don't know why, they're just jerks. And some of it hurts. If I'm just being frank, some of it hurts. Elon put money into SpaceX to keep it afloat. Falcon Long Launch 5 wouldn't have happened if it wasn't. So you two are Tony Stark in my eyes. All right, I'll take it. I'll take it. I want Jarvis, actually, of everything. I just want to be able to talk to a computer and be able to troubleshoot things with a computer like Jarvis. Like, I watched that in Iron Man, the ability to interact with an AI and, like, bounce ideas off the AI. Right now, I do that with my windshield in my car. Or when I'm on my treadmill. I have a Peloton treadmill now because I'm bougie and pretentious, but it is nice. It is worth every penny. And I should be on it right now, but this is way more fun. Let's see here. To quote Morpheus, it's like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. This is going back to me. Closer. Not quite there. The interesting thing, sorry, I don't want to make this all about transition. I mean, it's an Ask Me Anything, so we can talk. If this is what you guys want to talk about, I'm more than happy to talk about it. But, like, if you want to talk about space, I'm cool with that too. For me, I was not unhappy before. And it was really, really, really difficult for me to come out to myself. I actually knew somewhere between 1994 and 98, I can't pinpoint the exact moment in time, but I knew in that time, and I was in the Midwest at the time. The internet wasn't like it is today, and I was terrified of this information, and so I locked it into a box, I put it in my brain, and I quite literally forgot about it for several years. And every few years, I'd find this box rattling around in my brain, and I'd open it up and be like, what's in here? And go, nope, and close it back and put it away. And every time I did that, I added a little bit more to the box. And I wouldn't have actually admitted it to myself if it wasn't for someone else at SpaceX who was transitioning quite literally 1 cube away from me. And what happened was she began to transition, and I was then presented every day with someone going through what I knew I was. And it was easier when I just ignored it and I was like, oh, well, there's nothing you can do, so there's no reason to think about it. You can't do anything about it. It's impossible. Just put it away. Put it away. Put it away. It doesn't exist. Put it away. It terrifies me. Put it away. And then I'm presented with the fact that actually, no, you can do something about it. It's not that difficult to do. It's just time consuming. And then this spotlight shown on this box in my brain. It's like, hey, look at this box. This is relevant. I'm like, oh, what's in this box? And so I open the box and I go, no, I don't want to see this. I don't want to, no. And I went to put it away, except that now with the knowledge that I could do something, I'm unable to close this box. I can never, never forget this knowledge ever again. I can't use that technique anymore. And so now I've realized, this is late 2017. This is late 2017, obscenely early 2018. I've realized I can never forget this information. I must live with this knowledge for the rest of my life. I have two options. I can do nothing, or I can do something. Right? Very, very simple. And getting to this point took a while. I was literally in tears at night. It was very difficult for me to admit to myself. I was the hardest person to come out to. It was not pleasant at all. But I finally got there and I accepted who I am. And now I'm like, okay, do something, do nothing. And so now I've told no one, literally no one in my life. And I need to tell my partner in life, Carrie Ann, like she deserves to know. Whether I do something or nothing, she deserves to know how I feel. Right? I think that's fair. And so, how do you tell your life partner that? I don't know. To this day, I still don't know. I took several weeks trying to find the right moment to tell her. I couldn't figure it out. I tried at home and I would chicken out. I got really, really close at lunch one time at SpaceX. And then I'm like, no, like this is the wrong time to lay this kind of data onto someone. I didn't think about it this way, but then I happened to find an even worse time to tell her. I finally was like, look, I need to tell her. I can't put this off any longer. I need to do it in private. So I said, we drive to work separately. And I'm like, and it was a Friday. I'm like, why don't we drive home together? I think it was a Friday. Why don't we drive home together and I'll come to work with you the next day? Like we're both done at the same time. I need to come in early the next day anyhow. So she's like, okay. So we do that. And she drives because I hate driving because it's like I can do better things with my time. So she's driving. And now I'm like, I don't know how to start this. I'm like, all right, I have to tell you something, which is the worst possible way to start anything, right? Because what have I done wrong? And so she's like, the first thing she says is, are we okay? I'm like, yes. We're fine. I think so. So she's like, wait, what? And so as she's merging into traffic in Los Angeles during rush hour, this is when I admit to her that I am born the wrong gender. Now understand, at this moment in time, I still have not decided whether I would do something or do nothing, because that is not a decision that impacts only me. That decision impacts everyone around me, my family, my friends, myself. Now it impacts me the most, but I can't dismiss that it impacts Carrie Ann the second most and my direct family the third most, right? So I have to take their feelings. I choose to take their feelings into account. I think that's an important part of who I am. And what immediately switched me from, I don't know what to do I do nothing, do I do something, was she didn't skip a beat. She said, okay, I know you've researched this because that's what I do, I'm an engineer. She's like, what are your next steps? How do you transition? And it was that precise moment in time where I was like, yep, we're doing this thing. And it moved from maybe not, maybe to hard yes. This is happening. And within a few days, I had an appointment with a doctor, and I was on hormone replacement therapy. And that started April 2nd, 2018 at about 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And it has been a glorious and incredible journey ever since. And I hate using the phrase for journey. Everyone uses journey, and it drives me crazy just because it's so overused. But like, it has been. It has been so amazing. And I have been like, my family's been amazing. Carrie Ann has been amazing. You all have been amazing and incredibly supportive. I'm uncomfortable, but like in the best possible way. And like sharing this uncomfortableness with you is almost kind of fun. So there you go. All right, that's that story. I'm sorry, I spent way too much time on that. I didn't mean to. All right, let's see here. Sorry, that was a long story, so it takes me just a hot moment to kind of go back in the chat room. J. Michael says, gender and plumbing are two different things. Most of the time they align, sometimes they don't. Yeah. And this has given me an opportunity to really think about how we define gender, how society defines gender. Like, it is actually something that much like time, we think time is simple. And we think that a countdown clock should be simple. Yet we had to create an explanation video of the difference between T minus time and L minus time, and why some clocks stop and why some clocks don't stop, and when the shuttle is actually going to launch versus not going. And it's a countdown clock. You'd think it'd be very, very simple. You'd think time would be simple. Time distorts with gravity and space. So time is complicated. Like, time is really complicated, but we perceive it as being very, very, very simple. Gender is complicated, but we perceive it as being very, very, very simple. We perceive it as being binary, and it is anything but binary. And I never, ever thought about any of this until 2017. Now, I purposely was hiding it. My brain was trying to prevent me from ever getting there. So I put almost like protection mechanisms in my own head to ensure that I would never, ever open that box. But so that might be why I never like even thought about it. Anytime anything transgender came on TV, I would switch away. Anytime there was a transgender news story, I would switch away. I would just move past it. I wouldn't hate on anyone. I wouldn't have any opinion. I just noped out of it. So now I don't. Quite the opposite. Juan, I think is how you say that. Forgive me if I'm saying that wrong. Wow, that is amazing, very supportive. Carrie Ann is an amazing human being. I am incredibly lucky. Not everyone is as lucky as I am. In fact, very few are. And I understand and appreciate that every day, because it's not just Carrie Ann, it's my family. It's all of you as well. Like, I was really worried about coming out to the community because, you know, a good chunk of the community is left-leaning, but a good chunk of the community is right-leaning too. And I wasn't sure how that was going to play out. It was all new to me. And right, left, red, blue, didn't matter. Everyone was like, you do you. And I mean, like, there were only like, I can count on one hand the number of people we had a problem with, and that's over thousands of people. So I feel like those are really good stats. Let's see here. Dan asks actually a really interesting question. Dan Fredrickson says, did she in a way know already? Carrie Ann does a really good job of describing this her own way. She basically says she never thought about it before. And then when I said it, it was as if everything came into alignment, like it went click in her brain and went, oh yeah, actually, that makes sense. And it was as if, and it does, like when you think about the decisions I made, and you think about the actions I made, and you think about the person I was, all of it actually lines up. It actually does make sense. And you can even see a little bit of it on older shows. And it tracks. And it even to the people who know me intimately, they're like, yeah, no, that's legit. I understand that. That tracks. Yeah. Cody says, I think the open dialogue helps the community as a whole. I think you're right. And I think I was originally going to never talk about it on air because, again, my fear of this exact moment where it's like become about transitioning as opposed to becoming about space. But, you know, we talked a lot about space in the beginning. And I think as long as it's not the front of the show and it's not like the entire purpose of the show, I'm fine with it. Otherwise, if it becomes the entire purpose of the show, it's not what we're here for, right? We're here to get humanity excited about space. We're here to be the best humans possible. I think we should be the example set for humanity moving out to the stars. We should be those humans setting those examples for those future colonies. I'm not sure if colonies is the right word, but like those future cultures on planets. We should be the ones like taking the best of us and moving them out there. And we should be those best people. We should not be like those terrible, terrible humans. And so I think we are. I really do. I really think this community is some of the best. R1 says, most people fit comfortably into two buckets, so they don't generally have to inspect gender. Totally correct. Most people are born with the parts they were supposed to be born with. Works really well for them. Not so much for me. But I'm working on it, right? Space TV, what do you personally think is the most interesting mystery in the universe? I personally get stuck on how it all began. Everything has an infinite regression problem, right? What created the thing that created the thing? This isn't just intelligent design. Like, intelligent design and evolution have the exact same issue, which is infinite regression issues. And so I really think about this of like, and that's another interesting thing. So I am not for the record, I'm not a religious person, but I can be a spiritual person. I think those are two separate things. If you're a religious person, that's fine. I don't judge you. I don't necessarily agree with religion, but I don't disagree with spirituality because I can't prove that the universe wasn't designed intelligently. I can prove with a high level of certainty that evolution is a thing. The thing is, those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can't be like, you can't say, well, it's intelligent design, so evolution doesn't exist, and vice versa, right? So it is possible that there's both intelligent design and evolution. It's possible that it's pure evolution. I legit don't know, and I think it's really interesting. And this is the most interesting question in the universe to me, is where did the universe come from? What created the thing that created the thing? I have no answers here. I will never have answers here. No one will ever have answers here. And that's the amazing thing. Cool, we had a Big Bang. What created the thing that created the Big Bang? Cool, what created the thing that created the thing that created the Big Bang? Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, right? It never ends. You can never get to the answer. How cool is, like, that's for me at least. Hi, Lisa. I hit the wrong one. Loopy Dragon talking about, I think, transition again. I think we made it a better place approaching it head on. I think that was according to transition. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, yes, this is true. Loopy says, Jamie was originally going to not go on camera for the entirety of my transition, but I think, sorry, moving chat room, but I think we made it a better place by approaching it head on. I don't disagree. And I think this comes back down to the soul of the show, so to speak. I can't hide from you. I can't pretend like this isn't a thing. And I think instead of trying to make myself and everyone else more comfortable, accepting that it is uncomfortable and just you watching me transform on air almost brings us closer together and creates a bond that we otherwise wouldn't have had. And we would have had to reestablish our bond, you know, me and the community back to me, after I transitioned, because to you, I would have been a different person. I would be a different person. I am becoming essentially a different person. But instead of you having to go from Benjamin and then being reintroduced to Jamie, you're watching everything happen in between in all of its awkward gloriness. Which, by the way, I'm going to say it's awkward. It is awkward, but I also laugh at it. I accept it's awkward. I hope you can accept it's awkward. I hope we can all have a good laugh at it. It's okay for you to laugh at me. As long as it's not meant to be hurtful, as long as you're laughing with me, not at me, I feel like that's acceptable. And I have a really great sense of humor about all of this. And I have a inappropriate sense of humor, and for those of you who know me personally, in many regards, talking about some of the surgeries because it's hilarious. The open dialogue and visibility will help to diversify the STEM fields. Hopefully. I think we're actually starting to see a good chunk of that as well. Like, you're starting to see more diversity in STEM, And I think because of that, we're starting to see new ideas enter STEM. And because of those new ideas, we're starting to see new amazing things that humanity is able to do. So this is good. This is good. As long as we're doing it. How do I word this correctly? As long as we're doing it for the right reasons. I'll word it that way. Talking about time, can I get your thoughts on how the Boeing Starliner bug happened? Okay, so I don't know, and I've talked to a few friends about this. I want to reiterate, this is my personal opinion. Here's what I don't understand. This is not to say that it is a conspiracy. This is to say that I don't understand. The vehicle was basing its decisions off of a wrong mission elapsed time. So I understand how that can happen. Also, that's how vehicles run, is mission elapsed time, MET. Okay. Except that everything should have been based off of that wrong time. The engine firing should have been based off of that wrong time. The precision pointing should have been based off of that wrong time. That wrong time should have been global to the system. If it wasn't global to the system, why not? Why is there a separate clock running these different things? Shouldn't they be combined? And if you've got separate clocks, then shouldn't you design a voting system, which, by the way, for time is extremely difficult. But regardless. So that part has never made sense to me. Why is there a discrepancy between when object A was happening and object B was happening when your time source should have been the same, even if the time source was wrong? That's part A. Part B, there was a TDRS. So TDRS is Tracking Data Relay Satellite System, TDRSS. The whole system is TDRSS, and a single satellite is TDRS, which is why you might see one or the other. TDRS is a worldwide satellite network that is used to communicate with spacecraft. It's basically run by NASA. Back in the Apollo era, when a capsule was coming down, it would come down and you would get this plasma that would form underneath it. And much like a SpaceX landing, you can't shoot RF through plasma, and so there would be a blackout period, right? But all of a sudden, in the space shuttle era, blackout period stopped. Not at the first few shuttles went up and there was still a blackout period, but all of a sudden they had audio all the way down. There was never they had telemetry all the way down. There was no more blackout period. And the reason is they started deploying TDRS. In TDRS, instead of trying to shoot the signal down through the plasma, you shoot up to the satellite system, around the satellite system, and over back to Earth on ground stations. Now, there are things that can create TDRS blackouts. So, like, you can have antenna alignment issues that prevent you from speaking to TDRS. Whole slew of problems that can create TDRS issues. Which is why, generally speaking, when you're going up to station or whatnot, you would have concurrent. Sorry, I might be getting. Oh wow, I'm low on batteries. Sorry, just one second. Hi, Zach. Zach from the club is watching, and Carrie Ann told me to say hi. Hi, Zach. And Carrie Ann is at her party, and she's still pinging me. That's her sound, by the way. That's only for Carrie Ann. Okay. So, because you can have issues with TDRS, you usually want to have concurrent pathways to your spacecraft. So, TDRS would be generally considered space-to-space. You would also usually have a command and control pathway that is space-to-ground, or ground-to-space, depending upon the direction of your pathway. What I don't understand is why they were relying only on a space-to-space communications for command and control of an experimental vehicle. I would have expected them to have space-to-space and space-to-ground concurrent communications with the vehicle through major operations. Now, it is possible that they were over an ocean in which space-to-ground is not possible or viable because ocean, right? I don't know. They're saying there was a narrow window there. They didn't have space-to-space. They didn't have space-to-ground. There's no commanding that they were able to make it go. So from what I have, I don't understand. So My thoughts on how the Boeing Starliner bug happened, I don't know. I don't know how you can have a time bug that only impacts half the systems but not the other half, and I don't understand why you would only have one pathway for command and control. Not to say that there's a conspiracy, it's to say I don't understand their architecture because I don't work for them. I don't know the decisions that they made. There are always engineering trades, and so I don't understand, and that's where I'm at. Sorry, that was a really long answer to that, but like those are my thoughts. Going backwards to the topic, Marty the Martian said, could it be God said, let there be light, and then came the Big Bang, and then everything started to evolve? Crazy, huh? Could be. That is absolutely a scenario that could be. It could be that none of that happened. Also could be. I really don't know. I find this an interesting topic. Like when you ask me the most interesting secret of the universe or mystery of the universe, this is the one that is the most interesting to me. I cannot eliminate the idea that there is an intelligent being that created absolutely everything, which we will call, in this instance, God. I cannot prove that it doesn't exist. I can't prove that it does exist. I have no data. Like, I will never have that data, and so it is interesting to me to think about these things. And please don't take this as, this is my personal opinion, right? You're free to have your own personal opinion, your own personal beliefs. That's the amazing thing about this world, is you can do that. As long as you don't hurt people over them, you do you, boo. In what room is the universe? 42. Speaking of, my towel day is coming up on January 30th, and I will bring a towel with me all day. I will be turning 42 years old. I'm excited for Towel Day. I'm more excited to turn 42 than I am to turn 40 or 45 or 50. Jared Head says, it's like asking what color is blue. Like, how do you define, actually it's a really good color. How do you define the color blue to someone who has never seen blue before? And like, you can't show it to them. Like, how do you explain to them the color blue? Anyhow. What do I think of the Nervo rocket? So forgive me, I get some of these confused sometimes. The Nervo rocket is the nuclear propulsion rocket, correct? Also, Lisa is finding out that, yeah, I do have a BP audio track. I have a 10-hour spaceship loop. But also, by the way, this AMA has gone on for 2 hours, and will continue to go for however long you guys want me to go for. We've been off camera for a while. We haven't done a bunch of stuff for a while. So this is your moment. Like, you get to have this for this. We'll just keep going. This is awesome. Yeah, I added it in the background to give it atmosphere. It's like watching Falcon 9 go from Block 1 all the way to Block 5. If you guys really like it, we can add it into the shows. Like, I feel like maybe we'll just add it into the AMAs just because it's a little something, but like, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Ika, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. A says, will you be really different? I'm not. I'm just still me. I stopped acting like a male. Yeah. So, forgive me. I got to turn off the heater. It's really freaking warm in here now, which is amazing because, like, it's so cold outside. Okay. Yeah, I think it's important to understand that I'm not me. Many of my mannerisms will change, and you've already start to see some of those. You'll hear a change in my voice. You'll see a change in my face. I think when I'm saying that, I would have to be reintroduced to you after, it would probably take about 3 years to fully, well, I will never, how do I word this? Again, I'm always on a journey of self-improvement, and so I think that a bulk of my transition from male to female will take approximately 3 years from April 2nd forward, although it might take a little bit longer. Biology does what biology wants to do, and I have very little control over that. At my core, we'll call it my soul, for lack of a better term, I am the same. I am who I've always been. That will not change. I am the same human on the inside. My outside will change, but because we develop relationships with those voices and those faces, changing that and not taking you along for that transition would be jarring for the community, I think. And you would no longer be able to directly relate to me. And I think that would be bad for the show. And so I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm not embarrassed of transitioning. And so I think I was hiding it for the wrong reasons. And I've just chosen not to do that anymore. Right? I think that's the way it should be. Also, congratulations. Like, I've gone through just figuring out and accepting this myself. Again, everyone's different. I don't know how that was for you. For me, it was extremely difficult. And so just congrats. Like, seriously, congrats. So Tamitha's leaving. She probably left a little while ago, but goodbye, Tamitha. It was good to have you in the chat room. And Colton says, having a chance to know this is amazing, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so, I don't feel like this channel should focus this much on my personal transition, because I think we really should be focusing on space. At the same time, it is interesting. There is amazing science behind it. And I do want to, like, I'm not hiding from you. So if you want to know that, if that's what you want to know in the AMA, more than happy to describe that. But I also don't want to bore you with it. It's easy to overwhelm conversations, and I really don't want that to be a thing. Also, understand that, and it is different for everyone. I'm just talking about myself at this point. I'm not worried about pronouns. I'm not worried about names. You all have known me as Benjamin for years, for over a decade. You've known me as he for over a decade. My voice is not feminine. My face is not yet feminine. I'm actually doing pretty good. Biology decided to kind of give me a giant middle finger on this one. So from the neck down, I'm doing really well. I actually have to like suppress some stuff. From the neck up, not so much. Getting there, but like still working on facial hair. It just takes forever. Just takes forever, and I got to work on the voice. And you use, to determine gender, you use micro-expressions and you use cues, well, not micro-expressions, but you use micro-cues in the face, like distances between lip things and like brow bone and like cheeks, and like there's a structure to the face, there's a structure to the voice, to a cadence to the voice that allows you to make a determination on what you feel that person's gender is. And that determination is kind of built into you at a very young age, and I don't expect you to change that for me. I am going by she, her on most of my platforms, but if you screw up, I will not be insulted, ever. If you screw up with the intent to try to be a jerk or to, like, be cruel, that's a different story, but that's true of anything that you may do. If you screw up because it's an accident, cool. I make accidents all the time. I have no expectation of anything in any regard there. I will never, I don't believe I will ever correct you. I don't want to speak in absolutes, but I don't believe I will ever correct you. I don't think that's fair to you. Anyhow, I hope that makes sense. But again, this applies to me only. Everyone, I just can't describe this feeling. Like, I can't describe what it's like. And for some people, getting that wrong is very deep and hurtful for them. And so, like, I know it sucks saying you got to do it on a case-by-case basis, but you got to do it on a case-by-case basis. That's just the harsh reality of it. I believe it's about 1% of the human population is actually considered transgender. You could take all the transgender people of the world and create one of the most populous countries on the planet. So it's more than you may actually think, and less at the same time. All right. Okay, so back to NERVA. It's nuclear thermal propulsion. It heats hydrogen. I think we are scared of nuclear, and we shouldn't. Man, I'm having a hard time saying it now. And we shouldn't be. Safe nuclear is safe, and it can actually be advantageous to humanity. Unsafe nuclear is unsafe, but guess what? Pick a topic. That's true, right? Anything can be unsafe. Anything can be safe. So we need to stop this, like, it's unsafe, it's scary, not in my backyard mentality. Not use it for weapons maybe anymore, and maybe use it for the exploration and furtherment of humanity and betterment of humanity. And I think it would actually be a really cool thing. There are versions of nuclear power and nuclear propulsion that actually could help us a great deal. And I think we need to invest in that a lot. Actually, I believe, in my opinion, instead of Space Launch System, I think NASA should divert all of those funds and resources to space-based nuclear propulsion. They need to work on the things that commercial space companies cannot easily work on, in my opinion. Right? So you want to get a super heavy lift rocket? Cool. You got one coming from Blue Origin. You got one coming from SpaceX. You'll probably get a third. Why does NASA need to build one? Also, they're building it based on politics. So, like, is this going to be the best rocket? It's cool. I mean, it's legitimately actually kind of cool. It's a little bit sad they're throwing those engines away, but like, it's legitimately a cool rocket. It's going to be a powerful, cool rocket. We can't pretend like this thing's, like, if this thing were launching 3 miles away from you, you can't pretend like, oh, I hate this rocket so much, I'm not going to go watch the launch. You're going to go watch the launch. It's going to be amazing, right? It just is. Except that so will Starship. So will Neil Armstrong and, like basically all of Blue Origin's line. So let's give NASA the leeway and the power to work on those really, really crazy projects, the really crazy ones, like NERVA, thermonuclear propulsion. Let's give them that. Let's figure out interplanetary travel. NASA would kick butt. Like, the NASA engineers are amazing, and they would kick butt at that. And I really wish that's what they were working on. But it's not their fault. Like, also, it's not the engineers' fault. It's not like the engineers are like, I don't want to do that. I want to do SLS. It's a political problem. And like, this is a huge political problem in so many regards. And we can't pretend like that's not the case. It's absolutely the case. Let's see here. Cody says, I'd like to see NASA continue research into the warp drive. I would too. I'm a little bit scared that we're going to rip a hole in space-time. But, you know, this warp drive, if we could ever figure that out, which, by the way, it might be not possible, right? So, impossible is an answer. But if we could ever figure out warp drive, man, imagine what we could do. Like, what? It would be at warp 1, assuming you're going the speed of light, 8 minutes to Mars, 6 minutes, I think, at its closest, 20-something at its furthest, minute, which, by the way, again, speed of light, like, that's how far away these things are, but still, 6 minutes to Mars. You want to take a quick jaunt over to Mars? 6 minutes there, 6 minutes back, boom, let's go deliver some letters. Like, how awesome would that be? That. And I realize this is like almost sci-fi at this point, but if anyone's going to figure out the sci-fi, it's NASA. I know we all love SpaceX, we all love Blue Origin, we love all these companies, but if you're going to, like, that, NASA was working on VTVL, vertical takeoff, vertical landing rockets, way before it was cool, way before anyone else. They figured out a lot of that stuff, and that work has been used by those other aerospace companies to help with their VTVL rockets as well. Let NASA do that again with stuff like this. Anyhow. Cody says EM drive isn't possible from what I've read. Yeah, I'm unsure on that. Like, Oh, Heldesk has a valid point. If you had warp drive, you're not going to warp from the surface. So actually, it's going to be 8 minutes to low Earth orbit. You're going to have to phase to get to your station. From there, you're going to take your warp drive capable vessel to Mars, which is your 6 minutes. And then it's going to be 7 minutes for entry, descent, landing, EDL, down to the surface. So you're really looking at like 15, 90, 105, probably about 111 minutes or so. End to end. Okay, 111 minutes. Still, The point remains 111 minutes to Mars from surfaces. Well, so you forgot TSA. So you're going to have to pass your TSA. So it's like 5 hours. It's 5 hours. It's 5 hours to get to Mars once you get through TSA. Well, and then you got customs on the other side. Okay, so it's like 10 hours get to and from Mars. But still, that's not bad. It's faster than getting to Australia. A week is plenty. We used to be fine crossing the ocean in a week, says Loopy Dragon. Dan says, warp is quite possible. I know you wanted a place to deal with that stuff, but it's real, even very practical. So, like, I will buy that warp is possible. I will not buy that it is currently in use by humans today. Also, this gets into an interesting conversation about aliens. I actually do believe that other intelligent life exists in the universe, but by the same math that says that those intelligent life exists in the universe, basically says they've never been here. So, like, yeah, and maybe they figured out warp. But even if they figure that out, those distances are just crazy. They're just crazy. Maybe interdimensional travel? I don't know. I don't understand the Garfield reference, but Smokescale says, a week, I'll be covered in moss in a week. And then, interesting, actually, when you did the closed brackets, it ripped it out of the screen, but there's actually, it says it's Garfield reference. Let's just build a network of Stargates. Okay, you just got Lisa super excited because Stargate is her favorite sci-fi series of all time. And speaking of sci-fi series, I'm actually noodling one when I'm on the treadmill. In addition to thinking about like the deepest, darkest secrets of the universe, I'm actually getting pretty far along in timeline and universe creation for a new sci-fi series that I might want to build specifically for YouTube. The problem is time. Like I literally, that's actually funny. I just don't have any, and I'm not going to have any for a while. So I'm going to have to sit on this for at least a year, possibly more. But yeah, I'm fleshing some stuff out. I haven't quite. I believe that any good sci-fi series or any good series has to have like a really good villain. I haven't quite fleshed out the villain yet. Like I'm getting closer, but I'm not quite there yet. But I think the concept is really interesting. It's a 5-year story arc, and the 5th year I think is amazing if I could pull it off. From near Isco, Jami, when we settle Mars, do you think normal people, air quoted, will be excited for that and want to go? That is a really great question because I think about that, I don't want to say often, but once in a while. So I think normal people, it kind of depends on price too, right? So you got to be able to afford it. But I think we're going to see people who want to visit the moon, Earth's moon specifically, Luna. And I think there's a real market there, right? Who wouldn't want a vacation on the moon for a week, experience microgravity on the way there, experience, 1/6 the Earth's gravity on the moon, play basketball on the moon, that would be kind of fun. Take a bath, right? Experience water, although that might be dangerous, but like still experience water on the moon in 1/6 gravity. If you got the moon base correct and the windows correct, experience an Earthrise, or at least have kind of the Earth back there. Oh, you could experience potentially on your trip there. How cool would that be? That would be really cool. I think, I'm air quoting normal, like not billionaires, like you and I. Not even you and I, my parents kind of thing. I think it will take a little bit of time to normalize so that people are used to it and not scared of it. Once we get past that, I think we can get people to the moon. Mars. So Mars is different. Mars takes a long time to get to. Mars is more of a life commitment. I can vacation on the moon. I cannot vacation on Mars. Now, I can't go outside really in either, but I can start to terraform Mars. So At first, Mars is going to be the extreme explorers of humanity. There is a certain gene of humans that loves to explore. They love to go out in nature. They love to see things they've never seen before. Those types of people will be well suited for going to Mars. There are other people who maybe don't necessarily have that particular gene, but they love to be at the forefront of everything that humanity does. They want to help create the newness. They want to help push humanity forward. And at the beginning, that would be the Martian colonies. I still don't like that word, but whatever. That there would be a handful of them. And we saw those like at the Mars One applicants, right? There were a bunch. It's not millions, but we'll call it thousands of people would be willing to do that. And that's going to be it for a hot minute, right? It's going, you're going to have this initial influx, and then I believe you're going to see it taper way off, because people like me are going to be like, that sounds like the worst camping trip ever. No. And so, I'm not going till the indoor plumbing was working and they have Disneyland Mars operational, just for the record, right? So it's going to be really hard work at first for a number of years. It's going to be very deadly at first for a number of years. It's going to be like settling a new country 200 years ago or 300 years ago, right? Or just, it's just going to be awful. But they are going to be pushing humanity forward. So it needs to happen. However, if we can figure out how to terraform the planet, over time, we can create that into a habitable civilization or habitable planet. That might be a place for people to start a new life. And as we get more crowding here on Earth, I can eventually see, and we're talking at this point hundreds of years, like 100, maybe 200 years, I can see a point where Mars, where the desirement flips from being on Earth to being on Mars. And people might actually start to save up to move to Mars. And so that I would also consider normal people. But then, of course, Mars as a colony will have been normalized. It will have been generations will have been there by then. So I think it's a long path for people to be excited to go to Mars that are not in the kind of two camps that I talked about. It's a long path to get there, but I think we can get there really, really long term. Really long answer. I'm sorry. There was an entire group of the chat room that I just missed. So now I got to go back. Give me a hot minute here. I don't know what reference I got, but okay, cool. Actually, Jared has an interesting point. It'll be hard. Remember, Apollo was not popular. That actually is a good point. Remember, space programs are actually more popular with the public now than they were when we were going and landing humans on the moon. What? There are awesome clips, you can find some of them on YouTube, of people being like, I don't understand why we're spending money sending humans to the moon when Bobby can't even afford to get some bread to feed himself. It's incredible. By the way, Jared, I have not begun editing space news at all. I've been doing this the whole time. So, just so you know, it's going to be late. Let's see here. Cody, I'd love to take a trip to the moon one day. You think I can use my United miles for that? Actually, I believe someday something like this will absolutely be possible. I think that's an exciting time. I think that will happen in our lifetime, possibly at the end of mine. But we're on the oh my God. We are on the cusp of really amazing things happening. This year is going to be phenomenal. 2019 was phenomenal. And it's funny, I say that, and people don't even realize it. They're like, oh, well, I know 2019 was just 2019. It felt so. But think about what we did in 2019 in space. We did a lot of stuff in 2019. A private company sent a spaceship to the International Space Station prepped for humans on board. That happened in 2019. Some of the most powerful rockets on the planet launched up in 2019. In 2018, is that when we did the I should check that because I was carrying it. Hang on. Okay, hang on. Sorry, hang on. I will stop this to answer my wife. So give me just one moment. Cool. Okay. She's all set. I completely and totally lost my place. Lost my place. And I don't know. I'm just going to put this up without context. Space TV says, Lisa Stojanovsky sounds like an airline for space cows. Like answering Lisa. Lol. Cody, I was really hoping to see humans fly in 2019. This year is going to be awesome. Yeah, me too. But we still did a lot of stuff in 2019. Virgin Galactic basically moved their operations over to Spaceport America. That's kind of one of the final steps before they actually go fully operational. So we're going to start to see 2020. There's a real chance that 2020 will see more humans. There's a low to medium chance that 2020 will see more humans go to space in 1 year than have ever gone to space combined. That's going to be an amazing moment when that happens. That's going to be an amazing moment. And Virgin Galactic is going to help to enable that. And we can argue the boundary of space all day long, but like, again, the Kármán line is not 100 kilometers. And so if we're arguing the Kármán line, then argue where it actually is, which is not 100 kilometers. Unfortunately, it moves. So deal with that, Internet. Also, the chat room is all up on Space Cows right now. So I like that because that makes it really easy to see on the screen when I do that. Oh, Lisa, you bought shares in Virgin Galactic. Actually, I did too. And for those of you who want to invest in a space company, because you can't invest a lot right now, you can invest in Virgin Galactic. I believe they're SPCE, and I think they're on NASDAQ, if I remember right. I think it's really cool that you can do that. And if this is a future that you believe in, maybe grab a share or two, or whatever you're comfortable in with, and then you'll have a part. Actually, the really nice thing about doing that is then you're going to get, even with one share, because you're a shareholder, you get the shareholder notes, right? So you get those briefs, and you get access. You should get access to those shareholder meetings, like the call-ins and whatnot. So that's actually kind of cool. Dan, is the International Space Station still scheduled for 2024 decommissioning? Great question. I actually don't know the latest on that. I have no idea. I will have to defer to the chat room on that. I don't believe, even if it is, that they will. I think that someone else will take over it. Like NASA probably wants to move to Gateway, and I think NASA's mentally already done with Space Station, and they're like, Gateway is the future, which is cool and fine. I'm not sure I fully agree with Gateway, but like, it's a way to do it. If it gets humans on the moon, cool. Gateway it is. But I think there's a possibility they might sell it, or maybe Russia will take over it, allow a private company to use it. I don't know what the legal logistics of any of that are, but like, Oh yeah, Hina. Yeah, oopsies. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Hina says the all-woman spacewalk also happened in 2019, which, like, not sure why that took so long. And everyone's like, well, it doesn't matter. You should do it on merit. That's cool. That's fine. But like, it wasn't able to happen because we didn't have women going to space, and like, that wasn't there. There are problems in aerospace, and plugging our ears and being like, blah blah blah, everyone should go based on merit, is ignoring the fundamental issue. I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah, you should be going to space on, like, this should. I want to choose my words moderately carefully here, but like, yeah, you shouldn't be chosen just because of gender or skin color in any direction. I get that. But like, there are systems in place that keep other people pushed away from those open doors. And so it's easy to say, well, you shouldn't blah, 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 merit, and then ignore all of the other issues that are keeping them away. That's not fair. And that's really showing a lack of understanding of the core issue. The core issue is everyone should be on a level playing field. I think that's what anyone is asking for. And the fact that it took us this long to get there, it's a little bit sad. We should be the best of humanity. Like we should be the example that we're setting for those colonies on Mars and the colonies on the moon. We should be the absolute best of humanity. And this should be embarrassing to us that it took us this long. As an aerospace culture, this should be embarrassing. But we got there. We got there. So anyhow, that's my 2 cents on that. I just pissed off a bunch of people by saying all of that, but like, whatever. It's my opinion. I'm allowed an opinion. Yeah, and actually, Mathak, looking at the graduating class of NASA astronauts, I don't think gender equality is a problem in this specific case. Yeah, it was split really, really well. But race was certainly interesting, wasn't it? Like, it's taken, like, we'll get there. We will get there. We will get there. Jami, can you explain what your thoughts are on if we discover a second Genesis on Mars? What do you think the general public would react, good or negative? I don't understand what you mean by second Genesis. Is this the Genesis device that Captain Kirk was protecting in, what was it, Star Trek, was it Star Trek 2? Because Star Trek 4 was the whales, right? So I think that was So is this the Genesis device? Or is this saying like life on Mars? If we discover a second, well, we probably won't discover a second group of intelligent life, but we might find bacterial life that did not come from Earth accidentally. Well, we'll almost certainly find bacterial life that came from Earth, right? The question is, would we find bacterial life that did not come from Earth? That's going to be kind of amazing. Yeah, I think that will be amazing. I think most of the general public, to be blunt, won't care. Hang on, I'm going to do something I'm going to jump off camera just again for a really quick second. I'm going to hit the restroom, but I think I'm also going to grab something to munch on really quick because like I'm getting hungry. So give me just a minute. I'll be right back. I've been on the air for like 2.5 hours, so give me just a minute. My mic is back on, but I'm not on camera. I'm grabbing something here. What do we have? We have, I'll just do these. Oh, no, not these. I'll do these. And what's this? We have like little snack packs in the green room of the studio that I can grab. And so you're going to love. So first off, I'm in my fasting period right now, so I shouldn't be eating any of this. And then secondly, what I chose is terrible, but you're going to love it. I chose a Hostess Twinkie because I actually have had a Twinkie recently. Like I had one in a post show not that long ago, and they're not that great, but like I thought you guys would enjoy me eating a Hostess Twinkie. I have Welch's fruit snacks made with real fruit, except that there's one serving per container. It's 80 calories, and it's like, okay, that doesn't sound that bad, but it's like 4 fruit snacks. So, like, that's neat. That's like an hour on the treadmill. That's not. It's like 6 minutes running on the treadmill, not even running. And then, like, this is going to be bad for me. I've got the honey roasted peanuts. Serving size is 1 pack, 280 calories. So this is a good 30-minute run on the treadmill. Not quite 30 minutes, but like 30 minutes is what it will take to burn this off. And then I don't know what the Hostess cupcake is. I don't really care. Also, like, I'm sorry you're going to hear me chomping on the air, but like I've been going for a while. My throat's starting to hurt a little bit, so we're going to try to something. We should keep the fruit in the fridge. No, these don't require. Lisa says you should keep the fruit in the fridge. These are little packaged things that don't require refrigeration. They're like gummy bears. You don't need to keep a gummy bear in the fridge. But it says made with real fruit, which, I mean, somehow they're able to put that on that package. I'm not entirely sure how. This is made with real nothing. So I'm going to start with this. Oh, Lisa says, no, buy real fruit and put it in the fridge. We're probably not going to do that. We're going to start with the Twinkie, which is the least healthy thing. I'll probably move to the next. I'll probably move to the nuts next. Giggity. See, there are so many of those jokes right now, and they're all hilarious. Oh, man. That first bite of, like, empty calories. Yum. Let's see here. What else we got? Jared says, I appreciate the snacks. It helps me keep going when I'm there. Yeah, that's why they're here. Like, I don't know if you guys understand or appreciate. I know, Dan. Oh my God, giggity. so often, like, I'm trying to behave myself a little bit, but like, this snipping joke. Oh man. Anyhow, but yeah, back to Jared's comment. I don't know if people appreciate like how long some of these things take. But like news is a good day's worth of production. Like you're here 8 hours sometimes producing news, making that go. No breaks, straight through. It takes a lot. It really does take a lot. It takes a lot of commitment, it takes a lot of time. And something as simple as like being able to grab a Twinkie. Like I know they're empty calories, but like you need something. You need something to get your head in the right spot. Like the peanuts, they help, and actually the little fruit snacks, because sometimes you want something a little bit sweeter. All of these things help a great deal. And another huge thank you to Jared for like doing these things, because again, it's hard work, and I appreciate that it is hard work. But the community seems to be enjoying it, and you guys seem to be liking it, and we're getting really good growth, and so we'll keep doing it. Yeah. Yeah, Judge says, I'd say I spend 8 to 12 hours on the news. It seems about right. It's a long time. I don't think people understand or appreciate exactly how much time goes into this stuff. It's legit hard. No. Juggling Lessons asks, next time I visit, should I bring fruit and leave with leftovers? I mean, you can bring fruit, but you can't leave it here. If you leave the fruit here, that's how you get ants, right? And we won't take care of it. We won't refrigerate it. And if we do refrigerate it, we'll forget about it. It will become moldy, and then we'll have black mold problems, and then everyone will die. So that is the logical step of things that will happen here in the studio. So just like, probably not. I look. canned fruits aren't really as good for you because you get all that sugary stuff in there. And for me, at least, losing the weight that I did and getting into a healthier lifestyle, it was giving up, as I eat a carby, sugary snack, it was giving up carbs and sugars. Not any scary diet, like I'm not on a keto diet or anything like that. It was just like not drinking soda anymore, watching how much sugar I put into my body, being smart about it, not going over the top. And stuff like this makes it really difficult because they're usually very high in sugar content. And so I found that they're just, fruits just generally are in general. Now it's a good sugar, but you still, like, too much of anything is a bad thing. So you still have to be careful. All right. This is funny. Dad says, Jami logic, trademark, mind you. Any departure from the status quo goes equals crew death. Sure, why not? That seems legit. Moon strawberries. I don't know what moon strawberries are. Oh, you got it. You got it. That's how you get ants, Archer. That's where that was from. I wasn't. Do you want ants? That's how you get ants. Man, I miss Archer. Has Archer been on in a while? Like, I really miss Archer. This is an interesting question. Bernard Gilbert asks, could you imagine how our current economic system could evolve into the there is no money in the future system of Star Trek without everything being completely destroyed first? I have not thought of this. You've poised an interesting question, Bernard. I cannot. I can see it working if the financial systems fall over, but like getting from A to B is not going to be pleasant. It's going to be chaos. Yeah, I really don't see a realistic pathway there unless it happens very, very slowly. Although, there was still money in Star Trek, wasn't there? Like, there was still some financial... There's gold press platinum in DS9. So, maybe getting into that hybrid environment like that, that might be possible. I'm going to noodle this. This is actually a really good question. I think this is a fun exercise. I like that question, Bernard. Okay, they're arguing with me saying that Ferengi weren't part of the Federation. Well, that's fair, but they still traded with the Federation. Somehow gold press platinum's still in and out. I don't know. All right, see what else we got. Or see if we're starting to come to an end here. M. Martin 281, probably gone, but said, thanks for the AMA. You're welcome. If you guys like these, like, let me know if you want me to do these more often. If you think, like, there's a point where it just doesn't make any sense, but I do want to have hangouts on Patreon and YouTube membership sites more often, just talking about stuff. Or maybe I just make them public because these are more interesting when there are more of you to ask questions. So I'm just not like rambling on about myself the whole time, which I like talking about me, but I'm not sure that you all want me talking about me. Huh. What? Oh, there we go. I wish humanity's currency was compassion. So, I'd be able to take compassion from you? Like I could give you compassion, but I could take compassion back? Could I charge you compassion? Is there an interest rate on compassion? Here's +5 compassion. Thank you. Thank you, Cody. I needed +5 compassion. My my compassion rent is too high. That's a good one. System's slowing down on me. Ika A, good question. What would you most like to do in space? Actually, I'm going to pose this question to the community as well. And if you made it this far in the on-demand video, first off, I am sorry. But secondly, I would love to know in the comments below. I'm posing this question to everyone. I'll answer it too. What do you want to do most? What would you most like to do in space, assuming you get to go to space? I personally, I mean, it kind of depends on what I'm, like, where in space, but I want to be far enough away from the planet, where I can see it unobstructed with no one around me and a giant window, we'll call it cupola type thing, right in front of me, where I can just be in awe and beauty of our entire planet as a whole, kind of alone in my own thoughts, while floating in microgravity. I think that would be a changing moment for me. I think that would be a moment of incredible spiritual reflection. The second thing I would like to do in space, I would like us to have a base on the moon, and I'd like to do a broadcast like this live from the moon. Excuse me, because how cool would that be? All right. Lisa says, Jami alone in her own thoughts equals plotting galactic domination. Not untrue. Not untrue. Christopher wants to see the stars. I think that's a really good answer. Just kind of look away and actually look like you're not going to have light pollution. I mean, the Earth itself will be your light pollution, I guess. A different Christopher, build in space. That might be interesting, like build something in space. That'd actually be, and then you could bring it back and be like, look what I built in space. Juggling lessons would like to do asteroid mining, refining, 3D printing, but not customer support. Actually, oops. Smoke ago, this is not a bad idea. I would most like to nap in space. Like, you know how they have those like space beds and like 0G comforters and you are literally in a 0G comforter. You are like, your body is supported by not having any pressure points anywhere, which is both a good and a bad thing. Like, sleep there is either amazing or terrible. I'm not sure which. I would love to find out. Arhuan, I'm sorry, still don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Would like to see all the places that would like to become that would become national parks. Olympus Mons, the hexagon on Saturn's poles, the rings, Pluto's heart. Pluto's heart, aww. Aww. Hired Gun says, can I answer that? Well, yeah, anyone can answer it. I want to build something, space or moon station. That would be cool. Jared wants to do some photography, but not for documentation, more for fine art. That'd be nice. That'd be cool. I would buy that. Harry would do time lapses of the Earth from the moon. I assume that's... Oh, this would be fun. Or terrifying. Space TV says, I would love to play with my cats in space. Like, your cats would be freaked out. Just imagine a cat in microgravity. End statement. Yeah. Oh, Jared Head is also backpacking on a planetary surface. Watch, yeah, smoke scale, you're not wrong. Watching a cat freak out in microgravity would break the internet. The first person who brings a cat up to space, please record that, send it to me. We're going to put it on the Tomorrow Channel, and that's how we make our 100,000 subscribers. A cat freaking out in space. This is a good question. Jason Chambers. Oh yeah, good to see you, Jason, by the way. Oh, you've been here for a while, but like, good to see you. Once space travel becomes the norm, what would be the first Olympic sport that would happen in space? Something, maybe it would be a new Olympic sport, right? Something designed for microgravity. Lunar NASCAR. That's the first one. That's not an Olympic sport, but whatever. Rick V, what did you do in space? Looking down on Earth and not seeing borders. Yeah. That'd be really cool. Also, which side is up? Ika A. There we go. I like to make my own version of Earthrise. That'd be pretty cool. For that, you'd have to take a lunar trip, too, which would also be really cool. Lisa wants to know, what about a husky in microgravity? See, now, a husky is not going to react the same way as a cat. So, a husky is a dog. And a husky is going to both love you and want to kill you at the same time. So, it would be an interesting video. I just don't think it would be as cool as a cat video. Terrence is saying I'm 30 seconds behind chat conversation, except that I'm like way up here on the page. So, like, the latest thing I saw was from Cody saying that's a good show. And that came in a moment ago. And then Hired Gun says, Lunar NASCAR, I'm good with that. Actually, Lunar NASCAR might be kind of cool. Like, you don't get a racetrack per se. You have to, like, do it on the lunar regolith, which means, yeah, you're going to have to maintain traction on the lunar regolith. I think that'd be pretty cool. Oh, Space TV says, just found a Russian video of a cat in zero gravity and even looks authentic. Probably. I mean, I'm sure we're not the first ones to think of this. That'd be really freaky. Like, yeah. All right. Jeeping on the moon, count me in, says Jared. Rusco says, any moment now. Any moment now. There we go. Jami, what do you think about settling space habitats like an O'Neill cylinder versus colonizing another planet? What are the benefits of and downsides of both, in your opinion? Well, the benefit of colonies that we build is that we're not destroying any ecosystems on a pre-existing planet. Who's to say there isn't bacterial life on this planet that was going to evolve into something amazing, and then we show up and destroy it before it ever has a chance? Now, that might just be life too, right? Like, but at the same time, what right do we have? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking the question. Whereas with an O'Neill cylinder, we're not, like, we're bringing stuff up from our own planet. We're not necessarily destroying any life that may exist on an existing planet. And so we're not in a position where we could be destroying. The downside is, like, we only have so much material to work with before we're going to have to go out and find material out in the solar system, which brings me back to point A of, like, well, okay, so I'm mining an asteroid. Who's to say there wasn't life on that asteroid that I was mining to build my new O'Neill cylinder? So this only works if I'm pulling the material from Earth, and I only have a finite amount of material from Earth that I can pull. Also, that may not make sense because of gravity wells and whatnot. So there's that. I don't know. I think both would be really cool. Like, I really want to go to an O'Neill cylinder. Like, doesn't everyone here want to go to an O'Neill cylinder and just like, you want to like, I don't know, you want to like stand kind of like in the middle and just kind of look down it and see it swoop, right? Like, we've all seen those pictures, right? How amazing would that be? That would just be really cool. I just think it would be really cool. And then you could do it like almost like a cruise ship where you're just kind of cruising around the solar system really slowly. Like take an excursion to Venus and like, you know, take a boat trip on Venus for a while. Take an excursion down to Mars, see how the terraforming is going and going, nope, not yet. Can't breathe there yet. You know, take a trip back up, go to Saturn and be, ooh, kind of toasty. You know, I feel a little cooked on the inside, a little radioactive. Yeah, I think there'd be some pretty cool things with O'Neill cylinder. Colonizing other planets, like I think I touched on that. Also, it's really hard, right? Like, if we're going to colonize a planet, I feel like we need to terraform it so that it's prepared for our life form. Otherwise, why? Like, are we just going to... Would you want to live in a building and never be able to leave the building? That, I feel like we just get cooped up and like, as humans, we wouldn't be able to tolerate that. So, like, we got to figure out how we, like Mars, we got to figure out how we were going to terraform that. Not just go to the planet, but like terraform it. I think. I don't know if I really answered your question, but there you go. Okay. They're still talking about cats in the chat room. Cody says, there's so many forms of life here on Earth, it does raise a good ethical question. Yeah, I mean, it does. You don't know, like, we were bacterial life at one point. What happens if an alien race came here, just decided to colonize a planet and turned it into a nitrogen atmosphere, or I don't know, some other atmosphere? And, like, would we have ever existed? How would we feel about that? Like, that's not cool. So, all right, what amazing life would we be stopping from being created? Maybe nothing. I don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying there's a question there. Do I think, Terrence asks, do I think space law will be similar to Antarctica? Oh, man, I have no idea right now. Everything's up in the air. Like, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit worried that it's going to become, I don't want to say a battleground, but like not a literal battleground, but a political one. But we'll see. Like, it hasn't yet. We need to be careful. Because if we make the laws too restrictive, don't let anyone do anything, and we keep corporations out of space, no one's going to want to go there. Like, no one's going to want to build rockets for that. No one's going to want to build infrastructure for that. You can't build a profit from that. And yeah, it sucks, but like, that's what we work on right now. So we need to keep space open enough where private companies are willing to do the work necessary to do cool things in space, to get humans living and working in space. And then kind of figure out the laws around it. This picture is backwards. I can see the United States text is backwards. That's funny. Not what I wanted. If you can successfully build an O'Neill cylinder, you can have a habitat anywhere. Sustained artificial life support would be amazing. Yeah, I mean, technically you're right? If I can build an O'Neill cylinder, I can do the same thing on a planet, but like inflatonate it, right? Like I've figured it out in space. I can figure it out on a planet. But like, then why? Why do I need to go to the planet? What's the advantage of going down to the planet? Maybe gravity, actually, now that I think about it. Like, that I don't have to create artificial gravity. At the same time, I'm just spinning the cylinder, so like, I don't know. Why don't I just do the cylinder? Like, then I can design everything exactly like I need it to be. I don't need to design around terrain because I create the terrain. Oh my, ow. It hurts. Talking about, well, time to pay your space taxes is untrue. Mike says, but what life could we create in the process? I think this is the going to planets that have biological life already, like microbial life, and then like what could we create? I mean, that's fundamentally playing God at that point. So the ethical ramifications of that are huge. Like, we already have ethical ramifications of this here on Earth. Imagine doing that on other planets. The question then becomes, what right do we have to do any of that? Again, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not saying how dare we. I'm saying, what right do we have to do that? Maybe we all decide that we have every right to do that. Maybe we all decide that maybe we don't have any right to do that. But like, this is a very deep topic that has huge ramifications for the future of space exploration and us as a species. And it's not as simple as, oh, hey, microbial life, who cares? It's, oh, it is what is life. It's really what it is. Right? I mean, it's a deep philosophical question that kind of goes to the core of our humanity and our belief system. Oh, yeah. If we manage to realize some kind of new thinking, it will address our greed of what business as usual is today. Well, I think business as usual changes with society, though, right? This is business as usual was very different 50 years ago as it is today, and even 50 years before that it was very different. Things have been changing, and we're seeing accelerated change in society to the point where each individual generation is having a hard time keeping up. Not saying it's good or bad, just saying it's a thing. So, I mean, we seem to be making good forward progress just in general. And I'm excited to see what we as humans do in the future. I'm actually a huge fan of this. Jason Chambers says, developing technology to explore our ocean floor will only help us explore Europa. That's an exciting idea. And that is an exciting idea. I fundamentally agree with that. Like, well, I mean, a lot of you know this story, but back in the day when we were trying to decide what kind of show we were going to do, it was about, I decided I wanted to do exploration, space or the oceans. And I decided on space because we were canceling the space shuttle and I was furious. I know a lot more data now, but like I didn't understand why we were doing it at the time. I'm sure space was, but for a bit there, it was a coin toss. I was seriously considering oceans. Again, I apologize for eating on camera, but like it's been hours, so I'm gonna do it. I got through all the nuts, giggity. I got through the Twinkie, so I'm like, and now I've got 80 calories left in this little itty bitty packet of like gummy things. So Twinkie was empty calories, nuts were decent calories, like good for me calories, and then, well, kind of good because they were honey roasted, so that's not. Space TV says some people say humanity has a duty to spread life throughout the universe. They may be correct. They may be incorrect. Like, these are very, very deep questions that have huge ramifications to us as a species and like how we view life as a whole. And like, I don't pretend for even a split second to have these answers other than to say they're extremely complicated. And maybe this is it. Maybe we should be spreading life throughout the universe. We have been given an incredible gift of intelligent life. We don't know of any other species that has this gift. maybe we should be moving life throughout the solar system, throughout the universe itself. Maybe that's what intelligent life is supposed to do. Or maybe not. I don't know. Oh, these are really good and they shouldn't be. This is bad. How much sugar do they have? I have quite a bit of sugar. This is a good question. What if we modify ourselves with CRISPR or something so we can overcome biological space obstacles? So become Cylons, essentially. Blood clots, eye compression, bone loss, blah, blah, blah. Man, I wonder if I could modify myself with CRISPR and like... Anyhow. Actually, interesting. Side notes. I mean, this just sounds like, would we do that? Or would we just find a way to download our consciousness into a computer and send the computer out? All right. These bags of fleshy, mostly water, is that the line? Our eyesight has a very narrow spectrum. Our hearing is a very narrow spectrum. The sensors we can get on cameras and computers today far exceeds what our biological stuff can do. So once we have this level of technology, why would we not just figure out how to move the consciousness itself onto an artificial device and then embiggenate those sensors, right? So you can see into infrared, you can choose to whatever you want to see and experience life in a whole new way. I'm not actually sure I would want that. I don't know. Again, these get into really deep questions as to what is life. Would you still be alive if you were purely a robot, but your consciousness was downloaded onto a machine? How does that work? I definitely don't have that answer. This is Deep Thoughts. That's an old SNL sketch for you. Ugly bags of mostly... Thank you. That was it. Amos, ugly bags of mostly water. That was one of the... That was Star Trek, The Next Generation, if I remember right. Was it original series or Next Gen? I think it was Next Gen. For my robot thing, Marisco says, I think it comes down to people being ready to... people ready to be comfortable with upgrading themselves versus not wanting to. Yeah, you're probably right. Like, I'm comfortable upgrading myself. I'm clearly doing that. But like, where's the line? And I think that's the line for me. Is it an upgrade or a cross grade? It's not really an upgrade. It's more of a cross grade. Well, Mike says it was The Next Generation. Oh, Jared, I'm sorry. Jared says the sinus alone is a great reason to leave human bodies behind. Terrence, do we have a tomorrow drinking game? No, but we should create one, because if I'm going to do this more often, I feel like this would be more fun if I had a martini in my hand. Martini or scotch? What should I be drinking? Or maybe I have to make you choose. I don't know. It would be the same drink maybe throughout the night. I don't know. But like, yeah. Like, I feel like this would be more fun if we had a drink and like, I don't want to get alcohol poisoning, but watching me get a little bit more lit throughout the evening might be kind of fun, right? I mean, come on, a little bit. Oh, I got us going on a TNG thing. Now we're talking about the crystalline entity. Jason Chambers is saying whiskey or gin. I would do whiskey before gin. Although a Hendrick's gin muddled with cucumber is delightful. Oh, that's a really great idea. Dan says, let members vote on the beverage of the evening. So I probably make it the same each, like you get the same vote of like, would it be scotch? Would it be a goose martini up dirty dry, which is my normal old go-to drink, some sort of foofy drink, and then, I don't know, like 4 options, 4 different drinks, maybe a scotch drink, a gin drink, a vodka drink, and maybe like wine or something like that. Like, Lisa wants the gin that changes colors. Huh. Mike wants me to do Johnny Walker. So I used to do Johnny Walker Blue almost exclusively. I love Johnny Walker Blue, but it's a little bit hit and miss because it is a blended Scotch. And a lot of Scotch purists are like, oh, it's a blended Scotch, blah. But I don't care. I like it. I think it's delightful. I think it's really, really good. We've actually got a couple really good Scotches at home. We actually have a vodka called Rocket Vodka, so that might be fun. It's made from apples, I want to say. So I'm not sure how well that would work in a martini, especially a dirty martini, but it might work. I do like a dirty martini. And so fun, not to go back to transgenderism, but like one of the pills, the Spiro that I take, prevents my body, it doesn't really prevent it from absorbing sodium, but like my body's absorption of sodium is decreased now. And so I crave salt, something fierce. And it's gotten better, like I've gotten used to it a little bit more. But yeah, that's fun. So the olives in the martini I'm all about the olives in the martini. That and pickles. I'm like a pregnant woman. Yeah, I have to rewatch. So like everyone's having a Next Generation conversation in the chat room. I got to rewatch it too. Like, yeah. I'm being called great in the chat room. This should happen more often, for the record. Like, I feel like every third line should be talking about how great I am, just so everyone knows. Terrence says, I'll send you all a bar cart and I'll fill it. Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, actually, might get sketchy, like, legal-wise. Like, I don't know what the logistics of alcohol are, but, like, yeah, we should have just, like, be ready to go with this stuff. I need to, you know what? I'll bring a good chunk of our drinks over from home to here. Make that go. Cheaper than a Soma bar. And here's the best part. Possible. Shipping. Oh, man. This is a good question. What drink would we have in space? I hope it's a martini. Wouldn't you want a martini in space? I want to sip a martini in space. I want a martini glass, sipping a martini in space, looking at the Earth through my cupola, alone in my thoughts, with a pickle. I want a pickle too, because stuff. Or, technically speaking, that particular drug I no longer need to take once bits get chopped off. So I may not crave pickles by that point. Lisa says, yes, Rocket Vodka is made from apples. Do you shake or stir a martini in space? I feel like you have to stir it. You're not going to be able to shake. Like, I mean, yeah, I suppose if it's a contained, no, you shake it. Yeah, you definitely shake it. Because how awesome is that? Yeah, you shake it. Don't let your martini float away. Nrisco, baiting it back to space. Thank you very much for that. What do you think about Blue changes? What do you think about Blue Origin's progress versus SpaceX plans, where SpaceX is about getting to Mars and Blue is about getting to orbit? Blue's not about getting to orbit. This isn't quite right. Blue, if I were to better describe Blue, I would say it's about getting into cislunar space, the space in between the Earth and Moon. And Blue is all about getting humans living and working in that cislunar space. And maybe even getting potentially someday humans living and working on the moon, kind of that near space area. I fundamentally agree with that. I think that is very important for us to do and should not be overlooked. SpaceX is laser focused on sending humans to Mars, as you wrote here, right? And I fundamentally believe that it's something humans should do. And this is why I really like both Blue and SpaceX, because I don't really actually see them as competing too much. There's a little bit of competition overlap there, but really their big grand plans aren't alike, and they serve humanity's different needs for space, and both are required. And relying solely on SpaceX or solely on Blue or solely on any other company to do these things, I think is a mistake. Like, we shouldn't put all of our eggs in one basket. And so I'm excited that we have both SpaceX and Blue, both solid new space companies, helping to push humanity out to the stars. Well, not quite to the stars, but you get the idea. It sounds better when I say it that way. It sounds more dramatic. Let's see here. All right, Lisa's out. See you, Lisa. I'm probably going to be ending up here soon. I'll give it, what do you guys think? Another 15 minutes? Brings me to 11:30 p.m. Pacific. We started at 8. That's 3.5 hour Ask Me Anything, and you kept me going the entire time. So I guess you guys had fun. What are we up to for viewers? We're up to 106. So we stayed fairly concurrent around 100, so that's not too bad. If you guys like this, let me know. Like, let me know in the... I'll probably leave this as public for no good reason, and someone's like going to be like, what was this? But, like, I don't know. Dan, actually, Dan, this isn't the Tomorrow stance. Dan says, Tomorrow has always adopted the stance of both and. That is actually my personal stance. Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. That's my personal stance. So, especially when I'm given an option between two things, I'll be like, yeah, I'll take them both. Why do I have to choose between one or the other? Give me both of those things. It is amazing to go to with me to a restaurant, because I'm just like, order them all. Why limit it to one dish? Order everything. I want to try it all. So yeah. Oh, friends, like we were doing a early preview of Galaxy's Edge as a whole, and we went to the cantina, and again, this is before any of it opened, and so there were 8 alcoholic drinks. There were 4 people in our party, and you were allowed 2 drinks per person. And so, without asking anyone else in my party, which, keep in mind, Carrie Ann is used to me doing these shenanigans, and she's just like, all right, whatever. The other people in my party were not used to me, right? Like I just take control. So they come over like blah, 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 blah. I'm like, cool, we'll take one of each. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yep, one of everything. Bring it all at the same time. And like, everyone's kind of taken aback at first to like, why would you do that? What if the drinks are terrible? I'm like, oh no, this will be an experience. You're going to love this. And so like, and if you've ever been to Galaxy's Edge at the cantina, like your group gets added to like a bigger table so it's not just your group at the table, it's like other parties there too. So there were like 8 or 12 more people at our table, and they had already ordered. We were the last one to go to our table, and all of their brains broke. Like, no one had thought of just ordering one of everything. And so a few minutes go by, and then like a few servers show up with one of every single different alcoholic drink that they had that they placed down on the table. They would give it like, here's the description. We'd have to put them in order of the menu so we knew what was what. And we just passed it around the entire table, the whole table, not just our party. Everyone at the table got to experience every single one of those drinks. And it was amazing because we had an experience that everyone got to remember. And that's why I like doing stuff like that. Like, why choose one when I can choose them all? All right. So I know I went off a tangent, but whatever. Yeah, we have a few minutes left, and then I don't think I'm out. Will I actually start news tonight? Nope. There's a high probability that news will be delayed. So Jared, if you're watching, anything you can do to help me make news like infastinated would be appreciated. I'll figure it out. I was supposed to be doing my news story, but I did this instead. I hope that this was useful and helpful to everyone. I just felt like it was. I don't know. Like, I had this gut feeling like we need to just kind of do a sit down and just have a conversation. Just a casual conversation, just about life, space and life in general. I really had fun. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I think this is going to be a lot closer to what our actual live shows are going to be like. Not quite this, but like we'll have Carrie Ann on the other side. We'll have your comments up on the screen. We'll just be talking about news and opinions. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to bring purpose back to the live shows, purpose and meaning, and entertainment, and it will directly connect to you. So you will be a direct part of our live shows. Something that I think we gave up when we moved formats, specifically to the 3 format. This is going back to the Space Vidcast days prior to tomorrow. That's what we're moving towards. Smoke Scale says, this has been a fine stream. I will take all of the compliments. I always accept compliments. Feel free to keep them going in. Let's see here. Christopher says, nothing but Minnesota. I'm actually originally from Minnesota. I was from Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Grew up there. I helped start the video club in Eden Prairie High School back in the 90s. And I lived there for over 30 years. It's a beautiful state. I absolutely love it there. I thought I would miss winter. I do not miss winter. I do miss fresh snow and like that sound and that crispness. Like there's a crispness to the air that's really hard to describe. I miss that. I definitely miss that. But I can go visit that. Colton says, not too bad for a random show that really no one was expecting. Yeah, like, this was fun. Do you want me to do these more often? And if so, like, how often? Like, weekly is not right? You don't want to hear me ramble on for 3 hours every week. Monthly? Quarterly? What do you want? What do you want? Is a gateway a good idea, or should we be going straight to the lunar surface? It's not a bad... Anything that gets humans on the moon is a good idea. Anything. I don't care if it's a gateway or lunar direct, right? Get humans on the moon. I personally, from an engineering standpoint, think that lunar direct makes more sense. I don't understand the gateway's need, but sure, why not? Like, I almost said Bolden. Bridenstine. Wrong Bolden, I guess. Bridenstine actually does have a fairly compelling argument for gateway that I can kind of get behind, and I see where they're coming from. They're not necessarily wrong. I'm still lunar direct personally. But gateway puts humans on the moon? Perfect. I'm pro gateway. If lunar direct gets humans on the moon? Perfect. I'm pro lunar direct. I am pro humans on the moon. Hard stop. I got more kudos here. So, Nirisko, again, I apologize for pronouncing all this stuff wrong. Love the live stream questions. Thanks for your time answering our questions and giving us feedback. You do amazing work. Thank you. Thank you. That's why I put it up on the screen, because, again, I'll take all the compliments. I feed off of them. Look forward to more shows in 2020. Me too. I think it'll be fun. Smokescale says, Jami is an experience. True. Also, I wanted to do, it was important to me, not necessarily to do this solo, but to do this low tech. I didn't want camera switching. I didn't want graphics. All I wanted was me and you. That's all I wanted for this live stream. I just wanted to see how it would work out. And I think it worked out really, really well. I really do. I think it was fun. No idea how well this on-demand archive is going to be. This is a 3.5 hour on-demand archive. Again, if you watched all 3.5 hours completely on demand, not live at all, without fast forwarding, including the bathroom breaks, I would like you to comment below and be like, I watched all of this from start to finish. I feel like you need extra kudos, because live, I get that, right? Because you can kind of bounce in, bounce out, and like you can ask questions and you get your name. But on demand, it's different, right? So I just want to know if you watched it all the way through. Dan Thomas says, this is good. Thank you again. Jared is making his story for me for Space News. So he's got that and launches. I'm probably not going to end up doing a story. I'm probably just going to do you and Tamitha and call it a day. So if you're bored and want to do another story, feel free. Otherwise, we'll have just a short Space News this week. So when you're wondering why Space News is only like 6 minutes this week, it's because I did this instead of what I was supposed to be doing. I decided not to do my real homework. Let's see here. Terrence said, Jami just had to let off steam. Ha! Yeah, funny. We're not really doing letting off steam, and we're not really doing the Tomorrow Steam shows anymore either. It's really all just Tomorrow Space. So it's going to be the live show and the on-demand stuff. So it'll be Space News and the live show, with the live show feeling a lot more like this. And then I might just like randomly pop up on camera and be like, hi, community, let's just hang for a bit. Right? If you guys like it, I'll keep doing it. Mathak says, this was great. Colton says news being a little late for a 3-hour hangout. Well, I think it's not just gonna be late. I think it's gonna be light. I think we're gonna be a little light on news this week. All right. Narisco, Jamie, your opinions are fantastic, and I think you forgot to say 100% correct all the time. I think that's what you meant to say. I think what you meant to say was, Jamie, you are always correct. You are amazing. I wish I was you. No human is better on the face of the planet. So happy to do this. Thank you. I think that was actually what you meant to type. No ego either. This is me sober. Jason says, this was awesome, Jamie. It's been great to catch up and seeing how well you're progressing. Can't wait to see the new final you. There will never be a final me. I will always be looking for ways to improve myself. Maybe that's transitioning genders. Maybe that's just finding a better way to empathize with people. Maybe it's changing language. Maybe it's learning something new. I will always be a work in progress. This show represents my views, kind of like my view on life in that regard. And this show also will always be a work in progress. It will always be trying to get better. Always. Always. And you know what? Much like myself, much like any human, I make mistakes. I do things wrong. Sometimes I don't see things that are right in front of me for 20 years. Eventually I get there, right? And I think this would be true of anyone. And the show, I think, is the same. And that's why I'm making the changes on the show. Hopefully I'm, course correcting. Hopefully we're doing the right thing. If not, we'll course correct again until we get there. But we'll get there together, right? I listen to you guys. All right. Christopher's from Bloomington. I know Bloomington. I go there often. We're in the same neck of the woods, southwest suburbs. Harry, Minnesota equals Fargo in my head. Wrong state. Not even in the state. That's a Dakota. That stupid movie. Cody says you should set a schedule for AMAs. Maybe. Like this one was just kind of me going, I feel like this is a thing we need to do, so I'm going to do it. And I kind of decided to do it earlier today. If this is something you want, I will work on that. Or if you like me just kind of randomly going, poof, here I am, that might be fun too. I don't know. I think as we grow bigger, eventually someday, if we have enough members, I'd like to make these a member-only thing and do them way more often. Just kind of a way for you to peer into my brain. And like, it'll be whatever you want to talk about, not just space. I mean, that's true here. It was AMA, so not just space. I think they feel more like a member video, but right now that feels inappropriate. Like, it's not quite right to make this a member-only video just yet. We're not big enough. That would be a 20-person conversation. I don't know the logistics of any of that. But I think someday down the road, probably a few years down the road, frankly, at our current growth rate, but whatever. When I was, Ika A says, when I was in California, I missed thunderstorms. Me too. Like, we had one once in like the 8 years, and oh man, it was so nice. Also, it like started putting me to sleep because you get that nice rolling thunder. Oh, it was delightful. It was so delightful. Christopher says, yes, more, a couple times a week. Okay, that's excessive. I'll accept more, but not a couple times a week. Let's see here. We love you. Maybe monthly. Yeah, I think monthly is as often as it makes sense. I was thinking maybe quarterly, but yeah. Yes, I'm pro humans in space. Colton, you could do a couple a month and don't think it needs to be that long, so a short one, I think. So keep in mind, like, we're still going to do our live shows, and those will be shorter than this, and you're going to get one a month. So if you got this, I liked having this be longer, where you could just kind of like slide in, slide out, like, just kind of be a part of the stream. I think it'll be more fun when I have alcohol, because you see me get more and more hammered. To a point, we have to have a cutoff, right? Because I don't want to get like, I don't want to sick. Just enough to get like a slight buzz, just to open it up a little bit and have some fun, and then like stop it there, Let's see here. You, me, and the. Should we just call this show the like ambient space noise? ASN. Hmm. I'm enjoying, like, you're really taking to heart the keep the compliments coming. I'm going to keep putting them on the screen. We've got like 4 minutes left. I watch all of this start to finish, and you're amazing, Jamie. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Space TV says this was a quality stream throughout. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Smoke Sale says, if we're starting to wind down, I'll say goodnight and the best of luck with the refit. Thank you. I don't know if you mean like the me refit or the show refit or both, but I'll take it for both. So thank you so much. Scott says, try harder to get subs instead of paying to play people. I don't actually know what that means. We don't really pay. Like, we pay people who contribute to the show, like, because they contribute time to the show. And Jared was talking earlier about how much time he spends making the news go. Like, how terrible would it be if I didn't give him some sort of compensation for that? That would be cruel. It's not nearly as much as he deserves, but it's what I can afford. Technically speaking, no, it's not, because we're not breaking even. But like, whatever, you get the idea. Like, I could find a way to make it work. So, but we don't pay for fake anything. Like, we don't buy any sort of, we don't buy fake subscribers. We don't buy any sort of ads. Well, we used to back in the day. We haven't done that for a few years. Like, we don't do any of that stuff. We only pay our people. And even now, I'm like whittling that whole group down. And good night, Jared. Destructor. Omgar, are you still going? Yes, I am. Although, to be fair, I'm wrapping up in about 2 minutes. I get, it's going to work every time. It says, you are amazing. No humans are better. Thank you. Destructor 1701. I guess rule number 2 is invalidated now because nobody's called Ben to be always wrong. That's funny. Juggling lessons. It is also way past my bedtime, so I'm pretty exhausted. Destructor 1701 is heading to bed. I'm about to head to bed too. Because of this tattoo removal, it really hurts this side, and I have not been sleeping well at all. Should we call the show Jami Unscheduled as Jami? Should we just call the show Jami Unscheduled? Yeah, 100 people is not bad for an unannounced AMA. I don't know. I have no idea. Like, I can only imagine right now, because the not great people of YouTube are going to comment and say not great things without ever getting to this part of the video. They'll get 60 seconds in and say something cruel about how I look or how I sound or who I am or whatever. Which, again, fine, whatever. But I'm curious to see what they say. Like, I think I'll leave this public. I'm curious to see what happens when I leave this public. Might be interesting. Daniel says, positive attitude for 2020. Thanks, Tomorrow Community. And Jami, boss. That's right. Boss Jami. Last question for the night. Once humans get to colonizing Mars, do you think humans will start working on faster than light travel to get close to the stars around the solar system? I don't think that will wait. I think some people are already working on this. I don't think one is mutually exclusive to the other. Like, you don't need to be on Mars before you can start working on FTL drive, right? So we should be working on both concurrently. We should be working on the moon. We should be working on Mars. We should be working on asteroids. We should be working on FTL. We should be working on cislunar space, all at the same time. You don't need to wait for one before you can do the other. All at the same time. All right. Destructor, what's the beeping? That's actually, we have like Star Trek bridge noises going on. Ambient Space Noise is indeed a great band name. I should be stopping here. Yeah, I also like rapid unscheduled disassembly for a band name. I think that'd be really cool. Actually, this is funny too, EKA. Coming to you at its regularly scheduled time, it's Jamie Unscheduled. I feel like it should be actually more like Jamie Unhinged. Watch as Jamie gets plastered. Actually, I think my final note before I stop the stream, I really did enjoy this, and I think I'm excited to do the live shows with Carrie Ann and you guys uh, each month. And we're moving to monthly mostly because Carrie Ann and I have crazy schedules at SpaceX, and like we just can't do weekly. There's just no way. Monthly is going to help us a lot, and I think they're going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy hanging out. I'm definitely going to do this more often. I liked this a lot. I hope you all had fun. And I think part of what was magical here was that it was just me and all of you. And I think it will be that in the future too. Leave comments below in the on-demand version, not this because I'm off that page now, so I can't see your comments anymore. But if you liked it and you want to see more of it, I think this doesn't need to have a high view count. This doesn't need to have like hundreds of thousands or millions of viewers. I think this is just kind of a bonding moment for all of us where we get to geek out over just like we're a bunch of space geeks, but like that isn't the only thing that defines us. And being able to talk about all of the things in life. I'm sure we're all sci-fi geeks too, like talking about Next Generation. Firefly is another really good one. I've got a lot of interesting stuff going on in my life, and so talking about that is interesting. And, you know, talking about what you guys find interesting, I think is a lot of fun. And I think there's something interesting and magical of it being just this. A very simple me to you and just your immediate feedback. So I enjoyed it. I had a blast. I hope the internet isn't too cruel to the on-demand archive. And on that note, until next time, see you later and keep looking up.